Chapter for 41, and Chang's Family Treasure. Chapter for 41, and Chang's Family Treasure. In the ruined space. Shiyu and 11 had been waiting for this day for a long time. The other 5 pets also ran over to join in the fun. Now that everything was ready, Shiyu and the others finally prepared to use the meteorite fragment to let 11 evolve to a higher life level. In terms of strength and willpower, 11 was already not weak. In terms of external forces, Susu had the strongest cleansing power. Baby Ginseng could also increase Susu's cleansing power through the time fruit. Apart from that, Shiyu had telepathy. Beast tamers with talent in telepathy were the least prone to being hypnotized and confused by external forces. The reason was very simple. This was because this talented beast tamer usually had a deeper spiritual and mental connection with his pets than other talented beast tamers. It was easier to awaken his pets through contracts. In terms of data, Susu and Ling analyzed the power of the meteorite fragment together and judged that it wasn't a big problem for 11 to overcome its power. Therefore, with everything prepared, Shiyu felt that 11 could already charge forward. Demon God Panda, charge! Charge! Woo! 11 held the meteorite fragment and roared in anticipation. At the side, Buggy, Baby Ginseng, Kai Tong, and Susu were in deep thought. 11 was already so strong. Let's continue strengthening 11? After being first in the team, it was strengthened by the burning gold and Yunnan fragments one after another. Then there was the exclusive skill set meal and legendary resources. How could they fight in the future? Let's begin. At the same time, as Shiyu gave the order, 11 entered a sharp state. The 9-Li battle beast form descended. It swallowed the meteorite fragment that emitted the power of the dark demon god with ease. In the arena, 11, who was wearing impressive armor, had extremely deep blue eyes. As it swallowed the meteorite fragment, its expression quickly changed. As expected of a legendary-level evolution resource, the reaction of the meteorite fragment was completely different from the previous few times. Boom! Just as it swallowed it and before 11 could start carving inscriptions to digest the power of Yunnan, the substantialized dark magic power was like a messy and destructive airflow that immediately lingered on its body, blowing the hair under its armor. At the same time, 11 immediately felt that the dark magic power in its body had formed a deer-shaped creature that tried to corrode its spiritual consciousness and the depths of its heart. In an instant, 11 almost lost its mind. Its blue eyes were dyed with a trace of violent black mist. Its mind was so confused that the figure in front of it began to blur. Looking at Buggy, Baby Ginseng, and Kai Tong, it could no longer see the original appearance. Even Shiyu looked like a distorted demon in 11's eyes. Engrave inscriptions. Shiyu's voice appeared in the depths of 11's heart. Roar! 11 immediately roared. Before its willpower was completely corroded, it immediately carved the very deep inscription in its memory into the armor. Squeak! As 11 carved the corresponding inscription, it relied on this method to quickly absorb the power of the evolution resource. The dark power brought by the meteorite fragment was first suddenly suppressed, making 11 more awake. Then, the dark power began to counterattack. Even if 11 was very strong, there was an extremely terrifying resistance that prevented it from perfectly carving this inscription. Roar! During the inscription process, 11's eyes began to turn red. It was extremely difficult. Beside him, Buggy, Baby Ginseng, Susu, Kai Tong, and Ling swallowed their saliva. Especially Susu, who had been waiting for Shiyu's command to cleanse 11's negative emotions at any time. However, 11 didn't seem to need help at all. In all aspects, it had already reached the point of absorbing the meteorite fragment. Although it was difficult, soon, the dark power converted from the meteorite fragment was suppressed in 11's body. The dark power gradually converged, and 11's aura rose steadily. In a short moment, his physique, energy, spirit, and mind had been baptized by the dark power and strengthened. Success? Seeing this, Shiyu's heart immediately tightened. At this moment, sensing 11's surging power, Buggy and the others watched eagerly, extremely envious. Woo! 11 also continued to absorb the power of the demon god that it had suppressed excitedly, trying to do further racial evolution and awaken new super skills. Boom! Black evolution light began to spread from its body. Its energy value continued to increase steadily, and in the blink of an eye, it broke through the 5 million energy mark. However, although it was extremely smooth at the start, as the black evolution light spread on 11's body, 5 seconds passed and 10 seconds passed. 11 was stunned. It actually felt that its body was rejecting the dark power in its body. This newly converted power couldn't completely integrate into its body and become a part of it to assist it in breaking through the existing level of life. Shiyu was also stunned. To be precise, Shiyu was completely stunned. He looked at the sign in front of him that was no different from evolution failure. For a moment, he was a little confused. To be honest, Shiyu had thought of the possibility of failure, but that probability was established on the basis that the power of the meteorite fragment was too strong and 11 couldn't withstand it at all. But now, it didn't look like 11 couldn't withstand the evolution power of the meteorite fragment no matter how he looked at it. It had clearly suppressed it very smoothly. However, it still failed. As his body rejected the dark power, 11 was completely at a loss. The evolution light on its body also began to dim. It looked at the beast tamer for help. Chapter 42, and Chang's Family Treasure, 1. Chapter 42, and Chang's Family Treasure, 1. What was going on? Shiyu opened his mouth slightly and looked at Ling for help. Buggy, Baby Ginseng, and the other pets looked at each other. At this moment, Ling fell into deep thought and analyzed 11's current state. It failed, Ling said. This situation is recorded in the feeding index, but it's very rare. What's going on? Shiyu quickly asked. In order to let Ling better customize training plans for 11 and the others, Shiyu directly threw the data chips regarding feeding knowledge in the feeding index to Ling to learn. It was very difficult to perfectly absorb the intelligence crystals of many feeders in Dong Huang with the learning ability of humans. However, it was different for machinery. Therefore, it was easier for Ling to find the direction of some unorthodox feeding knowledge than Shiyu. This wave-shaped energy rejection phenomenon is because 11's current racial foundation is too strong. The power of this meteorite fragment alone is no longer enough to support it to increase its life level greatly again. What do you mean? In short, its foundation is too strong. If it wants to successfully complete its evolution, it needs more meteorite fragments or other methods to evolve. The evolution method suitable for most ordinary iron-eating beasts is already very weak for it. Its race has already deviated too much from normal iron-eating beasts for some reason. The evolution resources needed might also multiply. 11. Ling spoke slowly with a strange expression. That meteorite fragment was a legendary level 8 resource. Such resources were actually not enough to change 11's current racial attributes and let it evolve in other directions. As expected, it was a monster. 11 showed an innocent expression. Shiyu was stunned when he heard Ling's words. Was it a bad thing to have a strong foundation? Ling's words were not difficult to understand. Now, 11 had both metal and lightning attributes. Moreover, the low-level racial skills of these two attributes had been pulled to the maximum level by Shiyu, and its foundation was incomparably firm. As for the meteorite fragment, if 11 wanted to add new dark attributes and greatly change 11's race in this situation, it had to first have the effect of being stronger than 11's current racial foundation. But clearly, the power of this meteorite fragment was not enough to change 11's current race. The other resources like burning gold that didn't change their attributes and forms were still all right. They were only absorbed by 11, but the mechanism of the meteorite fragment was different. It was a resource that could change 11's attributes and race, so it was immediately rejected by 11, who had a strong racial foundation. Woo woo woo! 11 cried. What was going on? In other words, if it wanted to evolve again, it had to eat more meteorite fragments. But the problem was, where could he find Yunnan? This was even a gift from Zhongxian. Lin, is there no other way? Shiyu looked at Lin. 3 directions. The first is to continue searching for the meteorite fragments. By devouring a larger number of meteorite fragments, you can complete the traditional evolution path of the iron-eating beast that you discovered in archaeology. As long as you collect enough meteorite fragments, you can continue to complete the evolution. Moreover, it will be a stronger super demon that is far stronger than what the super heavy Xian acknowledged. Second, give up this evolution path and give up the power of darkness. In the future, it will evolve in other directions and open up a new evolution form. Third, retain this dark power in your body and find other metal evolution materials that can complement the meteorite fragments. Replace a larger number of meteorite fragments and open a new evolution form through the combination reaction of different evolution resources. Ling looked at Shiyu. As for Shiyu, he fell into deep thought. Initially, when he threw the news of Yunnan to the association, he didn't pay much attention. He thought that since he couldn't find it, and since he already had a Yunnan fragment, it no longer had much to do with him. But who would have thought that a meteorite fragment was not enough? If the Dong Huang Association couldn't find Yunnan and deal with it, 11 wouldn't be able to evolve according to the evolution path of the iron-eating beast ruins. I suddenly remember. Shiyu was stunned. Back then, they had asked the prediction owl where 11's evolution opportunity was. The scene predicted by the owl was 11 fighting an unknown totem, not Zhongxian giving treasures and evolving in the ruins. In other words, if the owl's premonition was correct, and they were experiencing evolution here, failure was inevitable. If they wanted to evolve, they would eventually fight Yunnan and chase after it. 11 rubbed its stomach. Although it didn't evolve successfully, it was full. 11, store the power of the demon god in the source of physical strength first, Shiyu said after a moment of silence. 11, yes. 11 absorbed the meteorite fragment and became lonely. Apart from its energy level increasing, its skills didn't awaken, its race form didn't change, and its attributes didn't increase. It couldn't become a rare 3-element transcendent creature. Ling's 3 suggestions circulated in Shiyu's mind. One was to continue searching for Yunnan according to the evolution method discovered by archaeology and complete the evolution, following the path researched by the ancients. The second was to give up the power of the demon god and give up this evolution path. He would find an opportunity to study other things. The third was established because he couldn't find other meteorite fragments and didn't want to give up the power of the demon god in his body. He needed to find materials that could replace and cooperate with the meteorite fragment to complete the evolution in another way. It was also equivalent to opening a new evolution path. Chapter 43, and Chang's Family Treasure, 2. Chapter 43, and Chang's Family Treasure, 2. Shiyu was a little confused for a moment. He chose to let it go first. He sighed and walked out. Then, he discovered a missed call. Shiyu called back. It was from Senior Bai. A moment later, Senior Bai's voice came from the other side. Shiyu, where are you now? I just came out of the ruined space. What's wrong? There's someone looking for you. Are you free? I'll give him your dormitory address. Who? Shiyu. Do you still remember Chang? You mentioned the person who helped him evolve into a dragon carp in Wuling City previously. He later joined the Bai family's dojo and came to the ancient capital to participate in the vocation assessment. Then, he found the ancient capital university's battle club and said that he wanted to see you. Him? Shiyu was stunned and immediately thought of who it was. Back then, when Chang's mother was seriously ill, he had no choice but to sell his family heirloom, the awakening mirror, to save her life. Shiyu was the only person who discovered the use of the awakening mirror at that time and bought it. That person had joined Senior Bai's dojo. That was normal. After all, it was a fusion talent and had the pet of a monarch race. It had proper master potential. Only a fool wouldn't accept it. Of course, Shiyu didn't know why this guy was looking for him, but he was fine now, so he casually said, "Let him come over." Soon after. The rather reserved Chang arrived outside Shiyu's dormitory villa and carefully pressed the doorbell. At this moment, Shiyu and baby Ginseng were watering the flowers outside. As Chang arrived, Shiyu looked over. "Senior Shiyu," Chang said. "I'm very sorry to disturb you." "It's you. How is it? Is your mother feeling better?" Shiyu asked. "Thanks to you, there's no problem anymore." "Thank you very much," Chang thanked. "But from your expression, you seem a little weak." Shiyu had a strange expression. "Cough. Cough, cough." Chang said in embarrassment, because the race level of the sea dragon is too high. "Even if I have a fusion talent and a very good physique, I often consume too much energy and need to rely on supplements to maintain my state every day. But it's all right." Shiyu smiled. This was a blessing in disguise. If he was always weakened, his physique would become better. "I heard from Senior Bai that you seem to want to participate in this vocation assessment and apply to Ancient Capital University, right? In that case, your beast taming space has reached level 2, and your pet has also broken through to the transcendent level, right?" "Yes." Chang nodded. This was also thanks to Shiyu. This was because Shiyu had evolved its dragon carp into a sea dragon of a monarch race. Only then could he become a genius apprentice of the Bai family's dojo under Dean Bai's recommendation and receive good training. At the second level of the beast taming space, it contracted a low-level monarch race, a transcendent-level dragon-type creature. This foundation was already close to Yin Zhengfan back then. If nothing went wrong, Chang should be a super rookie in this year's Ancient Capital assessment. "You came to find me for something, right?" Shiyu asked. Chang was stunned, then nodded and said, "Thanks to you, I entered the Bai family's dojo to learn under Dean Bai's recommendation. During this period, I also heard many of your legendary experiences and knew that you were a very powerful archaeologist. Therefore, I want to give you something when I came to the Ancient Capital." With that said, he quickly flipped through his backpack. Under Shiyu's surprised expression, he handed over a box containing a transparent glass ball. "This is also our family's heirloom. It comes from the totem era, but father warned us not to sell it. It's a very important treasure, so we didn't sell it last time. But it's a waste to leave this unknown ancient item in our hands. I think that Senior Shiyu, you're an archaeologist. This antique might be able to play a more meaningful role in your hands and find its use." "For me?" Shiyu subconsciously observed the glass bead and discovered that it was indeed an antique from the totem era. Moreover, it was extremely close to the year of the awakening mirror. The difference couldn't be more than 100 years. This discovery, together with Chang's words, stunned Shiyu. At the same time, his heart immediately tightened. Could it be? Shiyu took the glass bead and looked over. This? Could it also be a treasure left behind by the Yu maiden? As Shiyu locked onto the clue, he made a guess. In the next moment, his brain rumbled. It triggered the listening state like the last time he saw the awakening mirror. "This is for you." In the blurry scene of history, Shiyu saw the blurry figure of a white-haired old woman. Although it was an old woman, Shiyu vaguely felt that he had seen her somewhere before. In the scene, the old woman took out a bag and distributed the dozens of transparent glass balls in the bag to the group of children in front of her. "Take it. This is the talent bead that I created with my talent. As long as I chant an incantation to it, I can use them to extract the abilities of dying ferocious beasts and make them into toys. Of course, using it on a beast tamer who's on the verge of death and can't resist is also effective. However, you have to remember to eliminate the roots and not leave any clues." The old woman smiled kindly. The scene changed. "Plunder! Plunder!" It was another girl. She held the talent bead and sealed the skills of the defeated ferocious beasts in the bead, playing happily. Every bead had been modified into a precious artifact that consumed the user's physical strength and could release skills. Chapter 44, Chang's Family Treasure, 3. Chapter 44, Chang's Family Treasure, 3. This scene completely stunned Shiyu. A moment later, Shi Yu woke up. His pupils constricted as he looked at the transparent glass bead in his hand. He had just entered a listening state again? Wait a minute, that old woman just now. Could it be the Yu maiden who mastered the plunder talent mentioned by Senior Lu? Senior Shi Yu. At this moment, when he saw Shi Yu suddenly staring at the transparent glass bead in a daze, and Chang asked nervously, "What's wrong?" "This thing. Is there a problem?" Shi Yu remained silent. He looked at the talent bead and then at Chang. Yes. This is indeed a treasure. If he wasn't wrong, this talent bead was similar to the awakening mirror. It contained a certain talent ability. If the awakening mirror contained awakening abilities, then the talent bead was the predatory ability of the Yu maiden. He could plunder skills from ferocious beasts and transform the talent pearl into a skill toy. Of course, this ability was definitely extremely useless to Shi Yu because he had the skill index and could replicate skills casually. As for this talent pearl, it looked like a one-time toy no matter how one looked at it. Otherwise, the Yu maiden wouldn't have taken out so much for children. However, from the description of the Yu maiden, the talent bead could also plunder the beast-taming talent of other beast-tamers. This was an ability that Shi Yu's skill index didn't have. If it only plundered talents like attribute strengthening and modified the talent bead into an attribute strengthening tool, it naturally wouldn't be very useful. But if he used the talent bead to plunder some extremely precious talents, such as awakening talents, the value would be great. Therefore, Chang's father was right when he said that this was a treasure that could not be abandoned. As long as he found the right target, its value might even be greater than Shi Yu's awakening mirror. Really? Chang was stunned. Yeah, but if we maximize its value, it's also a lethal weapon. It can't be used casually in Dong Huang. Shi Yu was silent. This was a man-eating treasure. Stealing the beast-taming talent of a dying beast-tamer was no different from killing him. Unless that person was about to die of old age or was on the verge of death due to certain circumstances and was willing to donate his talent. And if someone created plundering conditions and had a target, that would be hunting people. Then I have no choice but to leave it in your care, Senior Shi Yu, Chang said. Sorry to trouble you. Shi Yu looked at Chang and said, You really plan to give this to me? Shi Yu was indeed tempted. The real use of this thing was not to plunder the skills of ferocious beasts, but to plunder even more strange beast-taming talents. Although there might only be one chance, if the plundering was right, its value was even greater than the awakening mirror. In Dong Huang, there was probably no longer a stage for the talent bead to display its potential. However, if it went out of the country, especially on a stage like the World Tournament where one had to fight the totem clans, the talent bead might be able to gain a lot. When it came to that side, there were probably many top-notch beast-taming talents. Yes. Shi Yu was silent and said, The value of this thing is indeed extraordinary. It's not an ordinary ancient item. It might involve a legendary beast-tamer from the totem era. Its value is extraordinary. If you pass this to me, according to the rules, you can ask for a certain reward. Do you have any needs? The ownership of the family heirlooms belonged to the individual, but if he took the initiative to hand it over to the Archaeological Association, he would receive a certain reward. The right of Bureau 11 was above the Archaeological Association. All the highest management rights of ancient artifacts and ruins in Dong Huang were on Bureau 11. Therefore, it was no different for Chang to hand the talent bead to the country. Bureau 11 was the highest representative of Dong Huang in the archaeological field. There was no higher level. Upon hearing Shi Yu's words, Chang immediately stammered. To be honest, he had sent this purely to thank Shi Yu. However, when he heard Shi Yu's words, he couldn't help but be tempted. That was human nature. Can I really mention it? Shi Yu thought to himself how shameless this kid was. If it were him, he would have long asked for a lot. Of course, Shi Yu said. I haven't contracted a second pet. So, you want a top-notch pet? That's simple. It might be difficult for overlord races, but you can choose any monarch race. No. I actually already have a goal. The second pet, I want to contract a green silkworm or an iron-eating beast, and Chang said. So, what I want is to acknowledge you as my master. I want to be a beast tamer as outstanding as Senior Shiyu. Shiyu? Damn, Shiyu didn't expect this guy to become his fan. What was there to contract between the green silkworm and the iron-eating beast? It was just rotten fish and shrimp. Were the iron-eating beast and the green silkworm strong? No, it was money that was strong. This, Shiyu immediately fell into deep thought. Can I? And Chang said nervously. Shiyu? If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have said so much. It was troublesome. You're about my age. I don't have much teaching experience either. It might delay you. If you want to take me as your master, I can recommend you to other beast tamers, even legendary beast tamers. And Chang shook his head and said, I still want to become a beast tamer as outstanding as you. Of course, it doesn't matter if it's not okay. In his eyes, Shiyu was indeed much stronger than ordinary legendary beast tamers. Could a legendary beast tamer contract 5 overlord species pets? Could a legendary beast tamer be proficient in battle, archaeology, and feeding in 3 fields at the same time? Moreover, Shiyu was his benefactor. Most importantly, Shiyu from the National League was too handsome. He also wanted to do what he did in the National League one day. Moreover, he really wanted to contract the iron-eating beast. After hearing that the iron-eating beast was also a trump card of Emperor Wu, his fusion talent was immediately tempted. In terms of nurturing the iron-eating beast, Shiyu was undoubtedly the most powerful beast tamer in Donghuang. Even titled legends couldn't compare. Shiyu? How about this? There's no need to become a disciple. If you really plan to nurture iron-eating beasts and green silkworms, I can teach you the cultivation experience, and even the cultivation experience of the sea dragon. All right. And Chang smiled when he heard that. He was already very satisfied. At the same time, Shiyu heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this child didn't go through hell insisting to become a disciple. Otherwise, it would be really difficult. Wait. Speaking of which, can I enter the Education Bureau of Principal Feng and Director Zhong if I nurture a legendary beast tamer? Shiyu suddenly fell into deep thought and muttered to himself. Soon, he shook his head. He wasn't a legend yet. How long would it take to teach a legend? However, since he had already promised and Chang to guide him, Shiyu thought for a moment and immediately had an idea. He had yet to contract the iron-eating beast and the green silkworm. He should put them aside first. As for the sea dragon, he could strengthen it. He had the Sea Dragon King Scale and Level 7 Divine Dragon Blood Essence on his side. They were both top-notch resources. He just happened to have no use for dragon blood. From the looks of it, there was no need to sell it. After diluting it, it seemed to be able to directly allow the sea dragon to approach the overlord race. At the same time, it could strengthen and Chang's physique to the limit of the same level. I'll leave Ancient Capital in a few days, but before I leave, I'll give you some guidance on the vocation assessment, Shiyu said. I'll find a place for you to stay at Ancient Capital University later. You can stay at Ancient Capital University these few days. All right. As An Chang replied, Shiyu looked at the talent bead again. This thing. If he could really snatch a beast-taming talent, he had to investigate what powerful talent it was. It would be best if it was like the Awakening Mirror, a talent that could be very helpful to his foundation. If he used it well, it would be no different from having the 3rd and 4th beast-taming talents. Chapter 45, Mad Replication Skill. Chapter 45, Mad Replication Skill. Speaking of which, what exactly were An Chang's ancestors doing? There was a big boss among the ancestors. And a tomb raider? After putting away An Chang's 2 family heirlooms, Shiyu muttered in his heart. Something was wrong with this family. How could a normal person have so many family heirlooms? Moreover, they were all related to legendary figures from more than 7,000 years ago. If it was an ordinary family, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. However, Shiyu thought that Anchang didn't know about this himself. Otherwise, they wouldn't have empty family heirlooms but not know how to use them. Compared to the incantation of the awakening mirror, the incantation of the talent bead is much simpler. From the looks of it, the awakening mirror might be a toy made by the Yu Maiden when she was young, so the incantation is more down to earth. The talent bead is an exclusive special tool developed by the Yu Maiden after she became a powerful beast tamer and could involve the source of the beast taming talent. Shiyu looked up at the sky. Although he didn't have the time to take in a troublesome disciple, it wasn't bad to take in so many benefits from the other party. In fact, Shiyu had the ability to teach. Even if he taught a legendary beast tamer, it wasn't impossible. However, he found it troublesome. After all, he still had a bunch of things to learn and really didn't have the energy to teach others. However, it was still possible to continuously provide some resources. He had nothing but resources. The resources he created. Of course, there were also some special resources that he didn't create himself. At this moment, Shiyu found a number and dialed the student dormitory management office. After the call was made, a middle-aged man's voice came from the other side. "Who is this?" "Teacher Zhong Dongxing? I'm a first-year student of the archaeology department, Shiyu. I want to ask you for a favor and help a new student settle in advance. He hasn't participated in the vocation assessment, but it shouldn't be a problem for him to enter the school. By the way, his name is Anchang. Can you let him look for you later?" "Sure, Shiyu." After being stunned, the teacher on the other side immediately expressed his understanding. "All right, no problem. Leave it to me." Shiyu had only met this teacher Zhong once when he entered school, but this didn't stop him from knowing him and opening a back door for him. After hanging up, Shiyu looked at Anchang and said, "Next, you should look for this teacher Zhong. After you come back, I'll prepare something for you. Sorry to trouble you, senior." Anchang nodded heavily and admired Shiyu even more. He was too impressive. He was clearly only a first-year student, but he felt that the school was run by Shiyu's family. Next, Shiyu returned to the dormitory and began to screen resources for Anchang. It didn't take long for Anchang to run back excitedly. It was too big. The dormitory prepared for students by Ancient Capital University was simply too big. He thought that Shiyu's residence was special, but he didn't expect that any student dormitory was like a villa. "You're back?" At the same time, Shiyu had already finished. He was sitting in the courtyard happily drinking tea and waiting for Anchang. "Senior Shiyu, Teacher Zhong has helped me complete the procedures. All right, sit first. Have a drink of water. Just now, you said that you want to apply to Ancient Capital University and haven't contracted a second pet, right?" "Yes." "Then have you thought about what department you want to enter?" "Battle department." "I see," Shiyu nodded. "In addition, you also said that your second pet wants to contract an iron-eating beast or a green silkworm, right?" "Yes." "But I haven't thought of which one to contract," Anchang said. "Senior Shiyu, do you have any suggestions?" "Woo. In my opinion, it's better to contract the green silkworm. The growth period of the iron-eating beast is too long, and the evolution materials are too complicated. It can't form battle power in the short term. It's suitable to return and nurture it after having a certain amount of strength and resources. As for the green silkworm, its evolution cycle is fast, and the cultivation difficulty is relatively low. Most importantly, the diversity of evolution can make up for your shortcomings. For example, the evolution form of the spiritual element can make up for your shortcomings in terms of mental strength compared to your weaker physique. If it's an iron-eating beast, it might repeat the positioning of the sea dragon. They both strengthen the physique after fusion. That makes sense." Anchang nodded. Of course, it's not that easy to nurture a green silkworm. To have high evolution potential, the proficiency of the worm silk has to be at least transcendent, right? This is very difficult to nurture with personal strength. Anchang smiled bitterly. Transcendent worm silk? He felt that it was actually pretty good already to have perfect. You have to have goals. The Ancient Capital Vocation Assessment is in less than a month. It's not very meaningful for you to contract a second pet now. How about this? If you can obtain the top scholar in this Ancient Capital Vocation Assessment, which is first place, I'll apply to Ancient Capital University and give you a green silkworm that has mastered the proficiency of the transcendent worm silk. How about that? Xiaoyu chuckled. As the green cocoon system was born, a large number of feeders surged into the research of the green cocoon. In the past few months, green worms that had mastered the transcendent level of worm silk would be produced a fixed batch for research every once in a while under the consumption of manpower, material resources, and financial resources. It was very simple for him to find one. First place? And Chang was shocked. Just first place in the vocation assessment. They're all newbies. It's not as difficult as you think. You contracted a dragon-type creature of a monarch race, and it's a fusion talent. Although I don't know the level of the other candidates this year, with your configuration, it shouldn't be a problem to rank in the top 3 in our batch. If it were a simpler batch, you would be first place. Chapter for 46, Mad Replication Skill, 1. Chapter for 46, Mad Replication Skill, 1. Besides, there's still time to prepare. I heard that because of you, Senior Xiaoyu, the vocation assessment of Ancient Capital University this year might be even crueler than the vocation assessment of Demon Capital and Imperial Capital. It's not a big problem, not a big problem. Don't forget, I'll also teach you the cultivation experience of the sea dragon. Xiaoyu smiled. There's still more than half a month until the Ancient Capital Vocation Assessment. This period of time is enough for you to undergo a new round of strengthening. As Xiaoyu spoke, he directly took out a bottle of about 100 milliliters of golden red blood. Do you know what this is? This is, seeing the blood, and Chang was immediately stunned. The blood essence from an overlord-level purebred divine dragon can strengthen your sea dragon's bloodline, physique, and your own physique. Of course, this is a level 7 resource. You can't use it directly, but after dilution, it can be used for a long time. It's completely fine to use it at the monarch level and master level. He originally planned to sell all the useless resources through Ancient Capital University before the trip to exchange for money, but from the looks of it, there was no need to sell the dragon blood inside. The divine dragon blood essence was a top-notch resource to purify the bloodline of dragon-type creatures and strengthen the physique of beast tamers and pets. The Sea Dragon King had asked Prime Minister Turtle to send him this bottle of level 7 dragon blood. For beast tamers with fusion talent and contracted dragon-type creatures, it was definitely the best resource. This, when Xiaoyu finished speaking, and Chang's gaze was shocked. He said in disbelief, level 7 divine dragon blood essence? This is too precious. I can't accept it. Level 7 resources were worth about 100 million. Among them, the price of dragon element resources was even doubled. In other words, this small bottle of blood essence might be worth hundreds of millions. And Chang couldn't take it anymore, and his heart thumped. It's indeed quite precious, Xiaoyu muttered in his heart. However, at the moment, Chang's previous awakening mirror and the talent bead were clearly more precious. Xiaoyu thought about it and treated it as an unequal exchange. In any case, the resources he was lacking couldn't be filled with a bottle of dragon blood. It was better to give it to this kid to make him feel at ease. This kid was strange. Perhaps there were other family heirlooms waiting for him to appraise. Xiaoyu would even believe it if he said that he was the descendant of a Yu maiden. Keep it. You have to know that I definitely won't let myself take a bad deal. Xiaoyu didn't give the other party a chance to refuse and confessed. Under Chang's shocked expression, he continued to take out a blue scale. This is the scale of friendship of a totem-level creature, the Sea Dragon King. Back then, your dragon carp used its power to evolve into a sea dragon. I'll lend it to you for safekeeping now. If your CWYRM has the chance to evolve into a dragon of an overlord race, I can also send you to Dragon Palace City to cultivate. Xiaoyu took a look at the Sea Dragon King's scale and decided not to let Susu swallow it. Compared to the other resources he had recently obtained, the Sea Dragon King's scale was purely dispensable. After all, it wasn't created by the Sea Dragon King. It didn't have any special power, so it was better to have the Ice Dragon badge with the heavenly frost cold energy. However, it was useless for him and Susu, but it was extraordinary for Anchang. After all, the Sea Dragon evolved through the power of the Sea Dragon. Carrying the Sea Dragon King scale could also subtly change the Sea Dragon bloodline. If Anchang's talent was good, he could let Anchang take the Sea Dragon King scale and let him accept the guidance of the Sea Dragon King through the channels of the Environmental Protection Department. Shiyu thought for a moment. Although he didn't have the time to take in a disciple, it wasn't bad to nurture a little brother and help the Marine Environmental Protection Department run errands in the future. At that time, it wouldn't be impossible to establish Bureau 14. This, Anchang revealed a shocked expression again, shocked by Shiyu's actions. His ears? Did he hear wrongly? Totem-level creature, Sea Dragon King scale? And these? Although this Sea Dragon-shaped pendant is a level 5 resource and a consumable, it contains a Water Dragon Phantom inside. At the critical moment, it can be used to protect your life. You can also summon it with your consciousness to guide the Sea Dragon skill training. In terms of skill proficiency, Shiyu got Susu to use the full-level Water Dragon Ball plus full-level Water Protection plus expert-level Water Element Control. Coupled with Buggy's Illusory Phantom plus Dragon of Imagination plus Dragon Might, he made a Sea Dragon statute figurine for them to comprehend. At the same time, it was life-saving equipment. With this, it was basically not dangerous to encounter non-Overlord level creatures. And this bag of beans. It's a supplement to recover physical fitness and injuries. There are 100 pills. It's recommended to break it open and use it when you're at your weakest. Save it. Shiyu had just gotten baby ginseng to use the seed to create a bag of divine beans. The effect was better than the divine beans on the market. It was the kind that could strengthen the body's life foundation without harming the body. These things could basically make Anchang almost invincible at every level before the master level, laying a very powerful foundation. Even if it were other teachers or legendary beast tamers from Ancient Capital University trying to plan a growth path, it was impossible for them to do better than Shiyu's growth plan. The resources on his side were too rich. At this moment, looking at the table of resources, Anchang was already stunned. Shiyu thought that it wouldn't make sense if this kid couldn't get first place in the vocation assessment now. Apart from this batch, the personal rewards for the previous National League champions might not necessarily be this rich. These resources were completely built for an invincible foundation. Back when Shiyu was a beast tamer in turn, he didn't even have such good resources. Chapter 47, Mad Replication Skill, 2. Chapter 47, Mad Replication Skill, 2. I'll still be at Ancient Capital University in the next 2 days. You can look for me if you have any questions, but I'll be going out for a while. I'll contact Dean He from the Battle Department. You can look for him if you have any questions in the future. He'll definitely be very happy to guide you. Shiyu smiled. After what he did, this Anchang might be the genius with the greatest potential in the Battle Department of Ancient Capital University in the next 4 years. Dean He definitely had to guide him like a treasure. After giving the pile of things he didn't need to Anchang and sending him away, Shiyu got Buggy to send the rest of the useless things to the Gem Cat and entrusted it to help exchange them for high-level resources to replenish life energy, such as the life water. Soon, Shiyu prepared to add some super skills. From his previous experience, teaching super skills was very harmful. Just the nourishment of the ginseng baby might not necessarily be able to do it. Therefore, Shiyu still needed an additional batch of resources to ensure the endurance of himself and the ginseng baby. He estimated that it wouldn't be long before he needed to continue buying the water of life given by Dragon Palace City. About 2 days later, the Gem Cat was done. It sent Shiyu a pile of level 7 life supplements, Resurrection Grass. Of course, apart from the word resurrection in its name, its effect was completely unrelated to revival. It was possible to save a dying person, but it was impossible to revive the dead. At this moment, apart from some precious resources and a pile of life supplements that could not be sold for the time being, there was completely no useless junk left on Shiyu. You're so prepared. Where are you going? Don't tell me we're going to blow up overlords again? Principal Feng said to watch over you and not let you mess around anymore. The gem cat licked its claws and stared at Shiyu, who was putting away the resources, with a doubtful expression. No, I just want to travel around during the summer break. I won't go abroad. The first stop is the insect border. Are you going? Shiyu chuckled. Insect Border City, a second-level city. Outside the city was the paradise of the insect race. In the forest over there were a large number of wild insect-type ferocious beasts. It was a forbidden area for inexperienced beast tamers. If they weren't careful, they would die inside. However, it was a dangerous place in the country after all. As long as it wasn't a place where totems that couldn't be dealt with were sealed, it was no different from a backyard for the current Shiyu. This was because it was impossible for there to be overlord-level creatures. The highest was at the monarch level, so there was no danger. The ultimate absorption skill he wanted to replicate was a bug-type super skill. It was very difficult to find in the ancient capital. After some investigation, Shiyu discovered that there was a famous wild worm king in the insect border who had mastered this skill. Although there were also beast tamers whose pets had mastered it, compared to replicating the skills of wild ferocious beasts, it was too troublesome to find beast tamers. No, I hate bugs the most. Buggy is very hurt. It's not considered a bug. Buggy is even more injured. What's the difference between this and saying to people that you're not human? Why aren't you leaving yet? Teacher Ying, the level 8 soul pearl in your treasure vault shouldn't be especially valuable, right? After all, it can't be sold for the price of ordinary level 8 resources. Gem cat? I don't want anything else. It's useless for you to keep this one. In any case, you don't have to save money to buy legendary resources anymore. Why don't? The gem cat? The next day, Shiyu left the ancient capital. As for the gem cat's pearl that sealed the overlord soul of the undying race, Shiyu still obtained it in the end. This was the spoils of war of the gem cat, the remnant soul of an overlord it had once killed in the undead battlefield. This thing indeed couldn't be sold for a good price, but it was very useful to Shiyu. With the help of the gem cat, Shiyu let Kai Tong absorb it through spirit release. Kai Tong's normal energy level directly went from nearly 4 million to 5.51 million, becoming the second in the team. It also increased the proficiency of the spirit release by a lot. It was one step closer to perfect level. Unfortunately, Kai Tong couldn't learn any skills. However, speaking of skills, before going on this trip, Shiyu had taught Kai Tong a high-level undead skill, Nether Cold Fire. It was currently entry-level. Although this skill had a mixed name, Cold and Fire, it was not related to Ice and Fire. It was a pure undead skill. It was considered a mutation of the Ghost Fire. If the Ghost Fire skill was the death aura that burned the soul, then the Nether Cold Fire was the death aura that froze the soul. It was just that it existed in the form of flames. The reason why he taught this skill was because Kai Tong's interlocking sword required two conflicting energies to maximize its power. And judging from Kai Tong's current accompanying moves, although the Soul Slash skill and Sun Flame skill could barely cooperate, the compatibility was not very good. It was inferior to Eleven's Lightning, Susu's Water Element power, as well as Kai Tong's original partner, Ice Element power. This also caused Kai Tong to not be able to perfectly display the advantage of the interlocking skill alone in a one-on-one situation. Therefore, Shiyu copied an undead-type skill with the cold nature as the core, Nether Cold Fire, to let Kai Tong cooperate with the Sun Flame skill with the hot as the core to counter the undead to form the interlocking sword. This way, Kai Tong's individual battle power could be even stronger. It wasn't very troublesome to replicate the skill Nether Cold Fire. After all, the ancient capital was the capital of the undead. After letting Buggy search in advance, Shiyu casually went to the wild area and found a wild undead to replicate the skill. Apart from that, Shiyu even caught an earth mouse on the way and replicated an earth escape skill for baby ginseng. Chapter 48, Mad Replication Skill, 3. Chapter 48, Mad Replication Skill, 3. These two skills were not difficult to find in the ancient capital. Among them, the Nether Cold Fire was mainly for the sake of cooperating with Kai Tong to use the Gemini silver armor to train the proficiency of the interlocking sword. Before the armor was used up, there was no hurry to strengthen Kai Tong with the legendary resource, the Bone Sword. After all, it had just absorbed a level 8 resource and needed to continue digesting it. Apart from that, Susu also began to devour the Tsunami Sprite's elemental core, Water Element Star, Memory Crystal, Ice Dragon Whiskers, and a pile of idle Ice Dragon badges. It slept and digested them. It would probably sleep for a while. If there were no special circumstances, Shiyu didn't plan to wake it up. As for assisting Ling, it was enough to have the water element clone it created with the control of the water element. After it completely digested it, its race level could probably be strengthened to middle or high-level overlord. Even if it didn't accept the Blue Sea Sprite inheritance, it could be much stronger. As 11, Baby Ginseng, Kai Tong, and Susu began to strengthen to different degrees in succession, with even the 6th Ling starting to study the mythical domain. Buggy began to panic. Therefore, this time, Shiyu's first destination was Insect Border City. He wanted to find the ultimate skill to make Buggy feel at ease. Of course, although they would feel at ease, he definitely couldn't teach it in the short term. He would definitely prioritize low-level skills to teach when Susu was sleeping and couldn't help with the burden. 2 days later. Insect Border City. In the White Twilight Mountain range filled with ferocious bugs, a young man in a dark red exploration suit and a blue butterfly appeared. After 2 days of searching, Shiyu locked onto one of the kings of the Baimu mountain range, the 6-winged Ghost King Mosquito. Buggy sighed at how difficult it was. It was clearly a pretty butterfly, but it had been swept up by the team to learn the skills of mosquitoes. However, this move was not exclusive to the mosquito beast. Among the butterfly-type creatures, Legend Hua's Tundred Flower Goddess butterflies had actually mastered this skill, but Shiyu didn't want to touch Legend Hua's pet. It was too troublesome to find an opportunity, so he came to find the easier 6-winged Ghost King Mosquito. To be honest, this guy had quite a lot of underlings. It was very good at hiding. The millions of mosquito beasts all over the mountain were its cover. Fortunately, Shiyu and the others had max-level deterrence and mosquito-repellent perfume. Otherwise, it would probably be difficult to find the Mosquito King's nest. Replication successful. As he replicated the ultimate absorption of the 6-winged Ghost King Mosquito, Shiyu was in no hurry to teach Buggy. Instead, he continued to run to the next destination, planning to wait until Susu woke up. During this period, he was upgrading Baby Ginseng's Earth Escape and Kai Tong's Nether Cold Fire skill proficiency. 2 days later, Shiyu touched the high-level skill Tempering Steel on the Golden Flame Beast in the deep mountains of Spirit Capital. He also replicated the high-level skill Protection Flame on an elemental creature from a local fire mountain. This skill was similar to Protection Water. It was the same type and was prepared for Kai Tong. Kai Tong had gathered a total of 18 defensive and protective skills that theoretically matched it. Shiyu felt a headache coming on. It was impossible for him to find all of them for Kai Tong. Defensive and protective skills were not what Kai Tong thought at all. The more the better. Firstly, many skills were conflicting. Secondly, using them consumed time and energy. In Shiyu's opinion, he just had to find 1 or 2 that were more cost-effective. For example, the Flame of Protection could defend against everything. It was still automatic, so it was easier. Therefore, after discussing with Kai Tong, Shiyu planned to replicate a few defensive and protective skills with higher cost-effective ratios. A week after Shiyu left the ancient capital, Shiyu had separately touched the 2 high-level skills Lion Bones and Overlord Body Armor among the pet beasts in the demon capital. Even if these high-level skills were very rare, finding and touching them was very easy for the current Shiyu. Unlike the Shiyu when he had just transmigrated, even if he only wanted to replicate a mere healing skill, he had to hurt himself and find an opportunity first. However, although things were smooth, Shiyu was quickly stumped by the most important skill that needed to be replicated. Name Undying Golden Body. Attributes, Metal. Introduction: It's a super metal element skill that transforms the body into an undying golden body. When injured, it can transform the damage into life force to heal injuries. This skill, like Inner Power, was a top-notch skill among metal element skills. It was very rare, and there were very few metal element pets that mastered it. It was said that when trained to the transcendent level, one could achieve an effect where the incoming damage matched the recovery. Unless it was insta-killed or killed through special methods, it was an immortal existence. In Shiyu's investigation, no beast tamer's pet in Donghuang had mastered this skill. Among the wild ferocious beasts, there were only 3 races that had mastered the undying golden body. First, the destructive divine mammoth. This was a beast of a totem country around Donghuang, a totem-level divine elephant who had mastered the transcendent undying golden body. Therefore, totems that could survive the totem battle were all old immortals with super trump cards. Shiyu definitely couldn't go to the totem country. Even if he brought the cat along, it was too hard. The power of the cat's little skill was still passable when it came to fighting the weak vortex demon beast. To fight the destructive divine mammoth, which had mastered the transcendent undying golden body and had astonishing strength and defense, it would be like giving it a massage. The damage they could deal wouldn't even be higher than the recovery amount. It was too dangerous. Even if the cat had instant transmission, running after touching it was still life-threatening. Second, the golden phoenix dragon sparrow. This was a creature of a middle-level overlord race. At the same time, it had the bloodline of a dragon and phoenix. It was very powerful. However, this thing didn't exist in Donghuang at all. Chapter 49, Mad Replication Skill, 4. Chapter 49, Mad Replication Skill, 4. It was a species of the ancient kingdom of Minghua, and even in the ancient kingdom of Minghua, it was an extremely rare overlord. Only legends were qualified to contract it. Shiyu had nowhere to look now. But the problem was that this undying golden body was important to Eleven's battle system. Third, high-level monarch race, Undying Dragon. Although this guy was called a dragon, it was actually an earthworm. It was of the earth and metal elements. It lived by living underground and eating metal mineral veins. It rarely appeared on land, so it was very difficult to find. It also mastered the undying golden body skill. Though, in the ancient times of Donghuang, the undying dragon had a record of appearing. It might be Shiyu's only chance at the moment. Therefore, Shiyu's method was to help baby ginseng maximize its earth escape skill. Then, he would go to the place where more earthworm-type transcendent creatures gathered and slowly search. This kind of creature didn't live on the surface, so it was difficult to find. However, as long as he aimed his gaze underground, there might be a chance. Shiyu planned to spend a month searching first. During this period, he wouldn't be idle. He would first arrange other skills for his pets. He could continue to replicate other rare skills along the way. If he couldn't find it no matter what, he could only find an opportunity overseas in the future. About half a month later. More than 20 days had passed since Shiyu left the ancient capital. At this moment, the vocation assessment was about to be held in the ancient capital. Shiyu was looking forward to that person's performance. However, he had a headache. Although he copied 3 rare low-level skills on the way and gave them to Baby Ginseng, Buggy, and Kai Tong, he still couldn't find the undying dragon. This guy had only been discovered twice in more than 2,000 years of history recorded by Donghuang. Clearly, it was a super rare creature, making Shiyu extremely angry. At a high-end restaurant in Divine Capital. After traveling here, Shiyu, who had put on makeup to avoid being recognized, sighed. He didn't know when he would be able to find this bastard undying dragon. After ordering delicious food, he took out his cell phone and started browsing the news during the meal. It had been a while since the end of the National League. The current hot topic was basically the change in ranking in the sequence battle, but Shiyu didn't participate. He felt that it was more important to increase his strength at the moment. As for ranking, it wasn't too late to charge in at the end. In any case, it wasn't time for the settlement of the legendary resources yet. Big news! The 5th-ranked Jifeng failed to challenge the 4th-ranked Jiang Tianyang. The legendary young master has returned. Jifeng? Shi Yu was a little surprised to see this news. The 5th in the sequence, Jifeng, was a national individual champion. He graduated from Imperial Capital University and was an elite of the Intelligence Bureau. He had the beast-taming talent, all things affinity, the 6th level of the beast-taming space, and a top-notch master. Not only could he be intimate with various ferocious beasts, but he could also be intimate with the power of nature, allowing his pets to mobilize the power more easily. Back then, Senior Lu lost to this guy in the National League. However, that was also because Senior Lu had yet to master the mythical revival skill at that time. Now, Senior Lu's strength was already different from before. But looking at the sequence ranking, Jifeng's ranking was still above Senior Lu's ranking. He was definitely stronger than a few years ago. It was mainly because this guy's beast-taming talent was very powerful. It was considered a fusion of a special and strengthening talent. It had special effects and could strengthen the pet's control over natural power. Therefore, every monarch-level pet could display power comparable to an overlord through a large amount of natural power, and it was the kind without side effects. The only thing that limited this guy was the physical consumption of using its talent. 5th, in the current situation, if he didn't use the time fruit, Shi Yu didn't have the confidence to defeat this guy. Even if he used the time fruit, it was hard to say if he could defeat the other party in a short period of time. Did this guy lose? After seeing the news, Shi Yu opened the details. The one challenged by Jifeng was a genius legendary beast tamer under the age of 30. The top 4 of the sequence battle were all legendary beast tamers. Among them, the legendary noble son, Jiang Tianyang, was the son of a certain financial group leader of one of the 5 major financial groups of Donghuang. He was a super-rich second-generation heir. Although he was rich, he kept a low profile and didn't participate in public competitions. He rarely appeared, but there were rumors that when Jiang Tianyang was still a master-level beast tamer, and that the basic energy value of every monarch-level pet was above 5 million. They were all piled up with strengthening resources. Only when the other party registered for the sequence battle did people know that this very low-profile noble son had already reached the legendary level. Jifeng versus Jiang Tianyang, a top-notch master and a legend. It was normal for him to lose. Unfortunately, Shi Yu did not manage to find the battle video. He scrolled through other hot topics in boredom. A moment later, Shi Yu's pupils constricted as he discovered a sentence that stimulated his nerves. Minghua's exchange team has arrived at Donghuang. After the World Tournament is confirmed, the 7-Nation Alliance and some totem countries have signed a year-long non-aggression treaty. The focus of both parties is on the preparations for the World Tournament. A certain amount of exchange will be carried out between the 7 countries. According to sources, the 100-man exchange team of the ancient Minghua nation arrived at Donghuang a day ago under the lead of a titled legend and 2 legendary beast tamers. Among them, legendary beast tamer of the ancient kingdom of Minghua, Katavi, represents a battle pet, overlord-level golden phoenix dragon sparrow. When Shi Yu saw the name of the legend leading the Minghua's exchange team, his expression immediately turned solemn. He immediately recalled the information he had investigated when he was searching for the Undying Golden Body skill. Damn! He didn't find the Undying Dragon, but he found the Golden Phoenix Dragon Sparrow. Shi Yu's expression was complicated, not knowing if he should be surprised or depressed. He wanted to go to a forum and ask for help. How could he shatter the legend of the ancient Minghua nation and touch the Golden Phoenix Dragon Sparrow? It was quite urgent. Chapter 450, Birth of the Mechanical Beast. Chapter 450, Birth of the Mechanical Beast. Divine Capital. After Shi Yu finished eating, he immediately left. In the outside world, Shi Yu called Principal Feng. Who? Principal Feng's surprised voice came from the other side. Kid, why are you suddenly calling me? I just want to ask. As I said last time, there's only one last process left. It probably won't be long before it's delivered to you. It's not about the legendary resource, Shi Yu said. Oh, Chingy hasn't come out yet. No. Principal Feng, I just saw the news. It said that the exchange team of the ancient kingdom of Minghua has come to Donghuang. Principal Feng was stunned. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Yeah, what's wrong? Where are they now? Shiyu said warmly, I'm quite interested in the history of the ancient kingdom of Minghua. I want to communicate with them. At the moment, among the 7 countries, only Donghuang and Minghua were known as ancient countries. The development history of beast tamers was relatively complete. The history of the ancient kingdom of Minghua could also be traced back to the totem era. The evolution process was very complicated. And take a photo with the other party's pet. This was already giving legend Minghua a lot of face. This was a friendly opportunity to communicate with a super big boss who was also a member of 4 bureaus. In the suburbs, Shiyu summoned Kai Tong's clone. M.I. Kai Tong's sword bent with tears on its face. It had the same expression as the Gem Cat clone. The tool sword was ready. To Demon Capital. Shiyu hung the ruin ring on Kai Tong's clone. I won't possess you to fly today. You fly yourself. After locating it, Shiyu himself crawled into the ruin ring, leaving Kai Tong's clone sighing and looking south. Life was not easy, the clone sighed. This time it was Kai Tong's clone that was transporting him. At the same time, in the ruined space, Shiyu heaved a long sigh of relief. After searching for so long, he had to replicate the undying golden body no matter what. Otherwise, if he missed this opportunity, he might not be able to see this skill again. Let's see 11 and the others training. After arriving at the space, Shiyu strolled. For the past 20 days, he had been in pain and joy. In 20 days, he went to many places in Donghuang and ate many unique delicacies. He also replicated a bunch of rare skills. However, the skills copied also had to be added as points. A bunch of high-level skills was tiring work. However, in less than a month, the increase in the strength of Shiyu's pet was also very gratifying. This kind of reward that could be seen made Shiyu feel that being exhausted was worth it. The temperature was getting hotter and hotter. Soon, Shiyu arrived at a desert area. At this moment, there was a worm creating a sun. At the core of the sun was a black and white panda. It widened its big eyes and enjoyed the burning of the flames. In the 4 corners of the worm sun, there were also 4 bin bears. From time to time, they would release a super electromagnetic cannon from 4 directions to bombard the injured 11 inside. Well, Shiyu rubbed his head. In the past 20 days, 11 had learned a total of 3 new high-level skills. The reinforced iron bones that became stronger after being beaten, the tempered iron that became stronger after being burned, and the overlord body armor that exceeded the limit of enduring damage. Not only did 11 learn it, but it had also been raised to perfection by Shiyu. Of course, the upper limit of these teaching skills and skill index was only transcendent. However, although it was only transcendent proficiency, the increase in 11's physique was ridiculously large. At this moment, even if 11 didn't use any skills or energy, it wouldn't be a problem for it to fight ferocious beasts of the same level with its physical strength alone. Even if he didn't use any defensive skills and relied on his body to resist Baby Ginseng's energy explosive fruit enhanced by the moon explosion, 11 wouldn't be heavily injured. Chapter 51, Birth of the Mechanical Beast, 1. Chapter 51, Birth of the Mechanical Beast, 1. It was getting more and more like a ferocious beast. Among the many attributes, only metal element or dragon element creatures could train their physique so fiercely. Moreover, the strength of 11's body had definitely far exceeded those high-level overlord races and even quasi-mythical races of the same level. 6,090,000 Shiyu glanced at 11's normal energy level. Its powerful physique also made 11's body contain more energy. Its energy level also broke through to 6 million, reaching the normal level of 6.09 million. It had only learned 2 skills, and the increase in energy was even greater than absorbing level 8 resources like burning gold and the Yunnan fragment. This made 11 extremely excited, so even if the skill index couldn't be used to teach anymore, it didn't give up and continued to train the two skills, reinforced iron bones and tempered steel. Just continue to be beaten and burned? This training content was not difficult at all for 11. It directly called Buggy and Kai Tong to create a son. Although the upper limit of the skill index's increase in non-racial skills was transcendent, it didn't mean that transcendent was a bottleneck. When pets trained themselves later, they could still strengthen their proficiency, but the increase was very slow. Obviously, 11 wanted to rely on its own hard work to train the two skills, reinforced iron bones and tempered iron, to the maximum level. Regarding this, Shi Yu and Ling considered 11's style, and didn't refuse. In any case, training Impregnable had a requirement that it had to reach the limits of the body. In any case, the Panda King had the racial talent bonus of becoming stronger after being heavily injured. It could increase its strength very quickly. Training like this was completely not troublesome. Because of the speciality of race and skills, only 11 dared to train like this in the team. Let's rest for a while. Shi Yu shook his head. 11 was much stronger now than in the National League. Although it couldn't successfully use the meteorite fragment to evolve, it didn't stop it from being still brutal. Woo! 11's voice came from the worm's son. It couldn't walk anymore. It looked to the bin bears for help. Shi Yu looked at the sky. Its endurance was still a little poor. As expected, he still had to get the undying golden body quickly. At that time, 11's battle power could definitely fight an overlord at the monarch level. It could rely on its own strength without the time fruit. Even if he couldn't win, he definitely wouldn't lose too quickly. Woo 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 woo. In the crowd, the bin bears started to save 11. They ran to the same spot and used the super electromagnetic cannon to blast 11 out of the worm's sun. What goes around comes around. Shi Yu watched for a while before Buggy and Kai Tong flew over. They created a sun. Buggy and Kai Tong became stronger. Although Shi Yu had yet to teach Buggy the bug element ultimate move, ultimate absorption. However, during the half a month of searching for the undying dragon, Shi Yu copied some rare skills he encountered on the way and taught them to Buggy, Kai Tong, and Baby Ginseng. Among them, Shi Yu taught Buggy the high-level skill Swarm Command. This skill was also very rare. At the moment, in Donghuang, only the high-level monarch race worm, the spatial dual element Queen Bee of 10,000 nests, had it. The racial talent of the queen bee was that its body was like a beehive space. It could give birth to a large number of young bees without life characteristics, like puppets and clones, for the queen bee to control. The young bees could replace the queen bee as a clone to carry out various orders, such as picking honey. As for the queen bee, it controlled them through the swarm command. The skill of commanding insect-type and spiritual-type insects could allow the user to establish a mental connection with a large number of young bees and command them to fight like an army. Of course, it wasn't an army skill. There were no special army buffs, but there was one thing. The young bees that died under the command of the swarm would return to the main body in the form of a special bug-type signal after death, increasing the main body's attributes in all aspects. At that time, when Shi Yu and the others accidentally encountered the queen bee, they directly replicated this move. He planned to let Buggy use the spatial pocket to simulate the beehive space and let it imagine a bunch of dragon gods of imagination that were controlled by the insect swarm command. Its main body would be the one who issued the swarm command, the master of all dragons, the strongest dragon tamer. During this process, it would hide and let the divine dragon phantoms fight. Not only was it safe, but the divine dragon phantom could also strengthen Buggy's main body after it died. If it learned the ultimate absorption in the future, it could even let the phantom suck blood and energy when it was alive. If it died, it would strengthen its main body and squeeze itself dry. At that time, Buggy would be like 11, an immortal cockroach. However, the form was different. 11 fought head-on and turned the damage into life through, like an immortal war god. As for Buggy, it hid at the back and commanded the bugs to fight. Now, this skill had also been given points to perfection by Shi Yu. Buggy had already combined with the phantom illusion and spatial pocket. It was just that the formation process of the dragon army was a little unsuccessful. Its energy value was not enough for it to summon too many dragon god phantoms. If it relaxed the number, the battle power of the phantoms would be weak again. It was just that a few divine dragons really didn't have the domineering aura of an insect swarm. Now, Buggy wanted a high-level resource more than anyone, a dragon element resource. This way, it could summon the dragon army by carrying equipment. Chapter 52, Birth of the Mechanical Beast, 2. Chapter 52, Birth of the Mechanical Beast, 2. It wasn't low-level equipment like the Ice Dragon Whiskers, Tyrant Dragon Fang, and Sea Dragon Scale. What Buggy wanted was legendary dragon element equipment. For this, it had already decided that no matter how fierce the leader was, it would take first place in the next team meeting. Wootilda's Buggy flew over with tears in its eyes. Before that, it still had to help the leader build a special training environment. It was too difficult. Tilda's Kai Tong chuckled. As a little daughter, Kai Tong was treated extremely well. Apart from the Nether Cold Fire and Protection Flame, Shiyu also taught it a high-level undead-type protective skill, Scapegoat. This was similar to Baby Ginseng's Time Mark. It was a skill that required a lot of effort to condense, but after condensing it, it could be maintained forever. Kai Tong could condense a Scapegoat. This spirit body could form a connection with the user. When the user was injured, this damage would be transferred to the Scapegoat through the curse. After the Scapegoat was trained to perfection, the user could condense a total of 2 Scapegoats. At the same time, the Scapegoat could also be used as a guardian spirit. Not only could it be used by oneself, but it could also be used by a person selected by the user. In other words, with this skill, Shiyu had more abilities to protect himself, such as Protection Water, Protection Flame, Scapegoat, and Etherealization. His safety had increased by an epic level. Apart from that, this move could also withstand the damage caused by its own skill for Kai Tong. In other words, if Kai Tong's explosive interlocking sword that exceeded the limit caused itself injury through the power of intersection, the Scapegoat could completely withstand it in its place, allowing it to erupt multiple times like 11. It was also an epic strengthening. Is Baby Ginseng still farming at Ling's side? After observing the energy changes of Buggy and Kai Tong today, Shiyu asked them. Woo! Buggy nodded. Yes, yes. I'll go take a look, Shiyu said. For the past few days, Baby Ginseng had been researching a special fruit with Ling. Of course, the leveling up of Baby Ginseng didn't fall behind. Although it had only been taught 2 skills, one of which was still a low-level Earth Escape. With the other high-level Wood Element skill, Nutrient Plundering, it was already as unsolvable as 11 and Buggy. Nutrition Plunder was also an absorption-type skill. It could be sustained by absorbing the enemy's nutrients. Although the absorption effect was inferior to the ultimate absorption of the bug type, it was still a pretty good skill. As for the Super Wood Element absorption skill, Shiyu only found a Super Wood Element killing skill that absorbed all the enemy's life nutrients to increase its growth speed, similar to Spirit Release. Unfortunately, it was useless for Baby Ginseng. After all, Shiyu's pets weren't lacking in growth levels now. When Shiyu's level rose, their growth levels wouldn't have a bottleneck. With Earth Escape, it could hide underground and fight. In addition to the nutritional plunder and the Earth Chain that relied on the power of the Earth to recover its physical fitness, it could completely hide behind the scenes like Buggy and summon endless trees to attack. All of them became an army. A low-level and multiple high-level skills. This teaching frequency was basically one transcendent high-level skill every 2 days. During the 20-day trip, Shiyu completed the super strengthening of 11 and the others again. Their skills and battle tactics were strengthened intensely. Of course, Shiyu didn't care about Susu before it woke up. A pile of top-notch resources was waiting for it to absorb them. There would probably be a lot of skills awakened later. As for Ling, Shiyu took the time to teach it cloning and multiplication. Its current growth level had long reached commander rank. From birth to commander rank, it took less than a month. It could be said to be very fast. At this moment, with his identity as the owner of the ruins, Shiyu quickly arrived at the Mechanical Research Institute. Just as he arrived, he suddenly heard the excited voices of Ling and baby Ginseng. Success! Success! Yi! As expected of me. Baby Ginseng was excited. Master, we succeeded! Just as Shiyu arrived, in the sky, a mechanical Rubik's Cube suddenly turned around. The cartoon profile picture on it said excitedly. Ah! Shiyu was stunned. He was just about to ask when his expression suddenly changed. He immediately saw a ferocious-looking mechanical tyrant dragon baby about a meter tall jumping around energetically in the dragon ring. Roar! In the dragon circle, the mechanical tyrant dragon roared. It was hungry. However, it was restricted by the surrounding spatial shackles and couldn't come out no matter what. It could only helplessly hit the spatial barrier. At this moment, the magic cube Ling was looking at this guy in the sky in surprise. Baby Ginseng pushed its glasses and closed the book at its waist, revealing a lonely expression. This time, it had made a huge contribution, although it was Sister Ling's plan. Shiyu looked at the mechanical tyrant dragon with a burning gaze. Name, attributes, race level, race skill, all? However, in terms of level of growth and energy points, it was the unbelievable transcendent and 3,187. Shiyu was immediately stunned before quickly reacting. It succeeded? The research path of the ancient mechanical phantom beast was successful? Seeing that the index could detect the life fluctuations of the mechanical tyrant dragon, Shiyu was immediately pleasantly surprised. He looked at Ling excitedly. They had agreed on 3 months, but it had only been less than a month. Chapter 453, Birth of the Mechanical Beast, 3. Chapter 453, Birth of the Mechanical Beast, 3. As expected, relying on pets was the most effective productive force. If they had done this earlier, they would have gotten a mechanical pet and intelligence level earlier. Perhaps they would have even created forbidden weapons. Ling. It's all thanks to baby Ginseng's help. Yi. No, it's indeed powerful. Baby Ginseng sighed. It had already sensed the difference in its learning ability from the mechanical life form. It would take a long time to finish reading a book, but for the knowledge of a library, the mechanical life form could immediately memorize it as long as it downloaded it. It made it want to find a smart chip for itself and modify itself into a mechanical undying ginseng. Perhaps it could work. Baby Ginseng fell into deep thought. It would transform itself into a forbidden machine and self-destruct with the moon explosion. In any case, it could still be revived and carry out the explosive art to the end. Shiyu, stop flattering each other. Tell me, how did it do it? What's its current situation? Ling nodded and looked at the mechanical tyrant dragon. He immediately introduced it to Shiyu. Well, but at the moment, intelligence can only be considered a preliminary success. It's not perfect. The revived mechanical tyrant dragon isn't like in ancient times, an Earth overlord of a middle-level overlord race. At the moment, due to the incomplete genes, the mechanical tyrant dragon's race level can't be perfectly recovered even through skills like Dream Steel and Phantom Illusion. Its current race level is probably a low-level monarch race. It has only inherited the super skill the Earth domain. Its other super skills, including low-level skills, were all lost during the revival process. This might be the inevitable price to pay for the combination of the Dream Phantom, the intelligent chip, and the mechanical equipment to evolution, or to mutate into a mechanical tyrant dragon. If you want to restore the full glory of the ancient overlord, you might have to optimize it further. However, because it became a new race, it also obtained new skills. They are the high-level Thunder Element skill Lightning, the intermediate-level Thunder Element skill Storage Lightning, and the intermediate-level Mechanic skill Basic Intelligence. So its current attribute Judgment will be very strange. Machinery, Lightning, and Earth. Shiyu was stunned. Lightning, Storage Lightning? Because the claws and shield used 11's lightning attracting hardening metal, the Earth Element Tyrant Dragon learned Thunder Element skills after becoming a mechanical Tyrant Dragon. This worked? Good Lord, mechanical, earth, and thunder. Then, was this still an ancient species? It's already not bad. No matter what, it's a mechanical beast of a monarch race. It even successfully inherited a skill, Shiyu said. If you really restore the perfect overlord race tyrant dragon at once, that wouldn't be scientific. Shiyu pondered for a moment and said in relief. A stable overlord race cultivation path definitely wouldn't be easy. So, how did it succeed? Shiyu looked at the irritable tyrant dragon and asked. Its modification materials are still the dream mechanical alloy that you chose previously, and 11's a lightning hardening metal. It still uses electricity as the main energy source. In the original idea, I combined the skills of Buggy, Baby Ginseng, Kai Tong, and Susu. With Baby Ginseng's a mutated fruit and time fruit as the core, and with the theoretical knowledge of the third feeding index as the foundation, I cultivated a special spiritual fruit called Soul Heart Fruit that can allow mechanical beasts to awaken into real life forms after eating it. You guys really came out. Shiyu looked at the sky. He was indeed wise and far-sighted. If he didn't teach the third Bureau of Feeding knowledge to Ling, this so-called Soul Heart Fruit wouldn't have come out so easily. Ling would probably have to study it from other directions. At that time, it was still uncertain how long it would take. The Soul Heart Fruit contains various powers such as mental dreams, soul and mind, time of life, and the power of purification. It has already purified the remaining ferocity of the fossil, so the mechanical tyrant dragon cub in front of me, after combining with the smart chip, is equivalent to a newborn tyrant dragon cub. Although it looks fierce, this is because this race's personality is like this. Ooh? Then quickly give it food. Shiyu felt that the mechanical tyrant dragon cub seemed to be crying. Buggy's spatial shackles isolated the natural power of lightning, preventing it from eating naturally. Yi? After being stunned, Baby Ginseng immediately condensed a nutritional fruit that looked like a potato. It contained the power of the earth and it threw it to the mechanical tyrant dragon. Although the mechanical tyrant dragon relied on electricity to last. In theory, the earth fruit could also be eaten. Raw. Raw. In the dragon ring, the mechanical tyrant dragon baby immediately bit the delicious potato bitterly. Seeing this, Shiyu said, but I feel that this little guy is stupid. Does he really have a chance to get first place in the mechanical conference? The mechanical tyrant dragon, raw. The little mechanical tyrant dragon raised its head. Although it was a cub, it was really different from a newborn cub. After all, it had basic intelligence, and its intelligence was not inferior to a child a few years old. Raw. I am the overlord of the earth. This obsession had not been cleansed. Shiyu looked at Ling. Ling, well. That's true. If we rely on it alone, the research results will definitely not be enough to firmly take first place. Therefore, I still have to continue the research of the ancient mechanical beast and strive to be perfect. Otherwise, it's even more impossible to carry out the research of the mythical beast. Shiyu nodded. Yes, only one skill was left after reviving the tyrant dragon. If he fused with the Chilean Phantom and only one skill was left, all the important skills would be lost. Then it would be a waste for it to revive. It had to be perfected. At the moment, the mechanical phantom beast needs to be built under the joint efforts of Buggy, Baby Ginseng, and the others to successfully revive. If you want to get first place in the mechanical conference, there are two research routes. The first is to upgrade the mechanical tyrant dragon's race level to the overlord race. The second route is to achieve the popularization and replication of mechanical phantom beasts. Ling, a fossil phantom recovery device that can restore the dream illusion of a fossil. This way, there's no need to rely on the power of Buggy. Then, I'll develop a stable breeding channel for the Soul Heart Fruit so that it can be obtained through artificial cultivation. This way, I can obtain it without the help of Baby Ginseng and the others. After researching these two results, you can completely open up a new system in the mechanical field. Shiyu fell into deep thought. It would be best if he wanted all of them. There are still more than 2 months. Can you develop it? Try your best. Ling's eyes lit up. However, more research funds are needed. I can spend all of them. If I develop this, I have to apply for a legendary resource for the mechanic class from the 4th Bureau. Demon Capital. Soon, Shiyu arrived on a cloud-piercing arrow. This was the second time Shiyu had come to Demon Capital. When he arrived, Shiyu's excitement had yet to pass. He had been teasing the little tyrant dragon for a long time just now. It was alive. Alive! However, it was important. He would leave it to Ling. He took out his cell phone and planned to call Director Li of the Archaeology Department of Ancient Capital University to say that he also wanted to participate in the exchange activity. It would be best if he could communicate deeply with the legendary beast tamer, Ms. Katavi. However, at this moment, before Shiyu could find the number, a trending change in news stunned him. He took a look and was rather silent. Because it seemed there was no need to communicate with the legendary Katavi anymore. He discovered a simpler and cruder method. The top 50 beast tamers of the reserve contestants of the World Tournament of the Ancient Kingdom. The battle exchange will begin in a day. The general content of the news was that 5 young top-notch beast tamers in the Ancient Kingdom of Minghua's exchange team would invite the Dong Huang genius to an exchange battle in the Demon Capital Arena in a day. Heavenly King Zhu and the others from the Dark Club had already responded. Among them, what concerned Shiyu was that the news also briefly introduced the basic information of the 5 Minghua geniuses. The information of one of them attracted Shiyu. Amy Rui, female, 28 years old. A top-notch master in the ancient Minghua nation. A disciple of the legendary beast tamer, Carter Wei. She represented her battle pet, the golden phoenix dragon Sparrow. Just like her master. In other words, as long as I also participate in this battle exchange and have Kai Tong possess me, I can give them a punch and the skill will be successfully replicated, right? Chapter 54, The Dragon Mother's Treasure, 1. Chapter 54, The Dragon Mother's Treasure, 1. Top-notch beast tamer, Amy Rui, her ace golden phoenix dragon Sparrow, strengthening talent for the metal element. On the way, Shiyu stopped on the spot and looked at the information on this genius from the ancient kingdom of Minghua. He fell into deep thought. Fight, they definitely had to fight. He just didn't know how strong the other party was. If the other party's strength was only like General Xiao Qin, he should be able to easily replicate the skill. But if the other party's strength matched a top-notch beast tamer ranked between 5 to 10 in the sequence battle. If they fought, he would probably have to formulate a strategy. But no matter what, with my current strength, I shouldn't be unable to touch my opponent. It's not a big problem. Shiyu closed the news interface. At the moment, Shiyu's beast taming was at level 5. His pets were all at the monarch level. They looked very strong, but they were actually not invincible below the legendary level. The standard for legendary beast tamers in the Seven Nation Alliance was that they had a level 7 space and an overlord level pet. Below that was quasi-legend, for example, the disciple of the tyrannical sea legend, Zheng Hai. In these people's situation, their beast taming level had reached level 7, but their pets had yet to reach the overlord level for various reasons. Not everyone's pets could rely on points to quickly break through levels like Shiyu's pets. This kind of beast tamer was still called just a top-notch master, but they were super strong. Because if they had strengthening type beast taming talent and their talent development was not bad, it was not a problem to help their pets increase their energy level by more than 10 million. If the basic energy value of the pet was 2 million, increasing it to 10 million would also make it a top-notch monarch with 10 million energy points. Moreover, for a beast tamer whose cultivation speed could be so fast, it was impossible for his pet to only have 2 million basic energy points. The low-level skills of his pet were probably above perfect proficiency. Some of them would be transcendent. It was impossible for their super skills to be lower than expert proficiency, too. It was even possible for them to be close to perfect proficiency. If that was the case, it would be more dangerous for Shiyu to fight at the moment. After all, there were 2 levels worth of difference. Apart from quasi-legends, there were only normal top-notch beast tamers at the 6th level of the beast tamer level who contracted monarch-level pets. If they had a strengthening talent, they could also easily help their pets increase millions of energy points. For example, General Xiao Qin's Demon Sea Star's basic energy value was 2.88 million, but after being strengthened by her beast-taming talent, it instantly reached 6.9 million when she fought Shi Yu, increasing by 4 million. And this was the most common performance of strengthening talents in battle. If it was an extremely rare special battle-type talent like the sequence Fifth Era's Wind, the increase was even stronger than common strengthening-type talents. In this case, it was also relatively dangerous for Shi Yu to fight. Apart from that, there were also special beast tamers like Senior Lu. Although they had non-combat type talent, they had mastered super skills that were close to perfect level. Their pets were basically top-notch monarchs that could reach 10 million energy levels. As for people like Shi Yu, who was at level 5 and had the gift of telepathy on the surface, but was given the title of top-notch beast tamer, people like this were rare, even rarer than quasi-legends. They were strange. However, Shi Yu knew that he wasn't weak at the moment. 11 and the others were also top-notch monarchs with more than 10 million energy after erupting. Among the young beast tamers under the age of 30 in Donghuang, probably no one could steadily defeat him, excluding the 4 who had already reached the legendary level. Shi Yu judged that his strength was definitely not a problem to be ranked in the top 10 of the sequence. He belonged to the first tier. And the overall strength of the ancient kingdom of Minghua was at the bottom of the Seven-Nation Alliance. In the previous world competition 20 years ago, Donghuang was second, and Minghua was sixth. The difference in strength was very obvious. Shi Yu didn't even think that he would lose to the geniuses of his own country, let alone Minghua's geniuses. He dialed President Xia of the Demon Capital Association. At the same time, in a luxurious hall used for meeting guests in Demon Capital Pearl Square, the 100-man exchange team of the ancient kingdom of Minghua was eating freely in the buffet restaurant. With them were famous people from all walks of life in Donghuang. There were businessmen, feeders, mechanics, and archaeologists. They were all elites who had come to carry out this exchange with Minghua under the orders of the Donghuang Association. In the exchange team of the ancient kingdom of Minghua this time, there was a titled legend Nether King leading the team, as well as 2 ordinary legends. The lineup was quite grand. On Donghuang's side, the president of the Demon Capital Association, Legend Xia, the legendary beast tamer Yao Senshan in the first bureau, and the legendary beast tamer Gui Yinghong in the 5th bureau were in charge of communicating. The legendary beast tamer Yao Senshan was in charge of diplomacy all year round in the 1st bureau, while the legendary Gui Yinghong was in charge of the business activities between Minghua and Donghuang in the 5th bureau. As for Legend Xia, it was purely because the second stop of this exchange activity was Demon Capital that he was pulled into work. At the banquet, President Xia smiled and communicated with the Minghua legend, Katavi. Not far from them, doctors were smiled and communicated with Minghua's top-notch feeding master about the green silkworm cocoon system. Unbelievable, simply unbelievable. Green silkworm, is there such an evolution method? Continuous evolution? Really? The dark-skinned auntie opposite doctors was shocked. Green silkworm cocoon, a stable and cheap transcendent, commander, and monarch race evolution path. She revealed an envious expression. Although the environment of the ancient kingdom of Minghua was not suitable for the growth of the green silkworm, and there were almost no green silkworms. As the top-notch feeding master of the Minghua, she naturally knew all kinds of pet races. The green silkworm was one of the most numerous pets in Donghuang, and even in the world. If Donghuang could develop such a feeding result, it could definitely quickly increase the national strength by increasing the number of low-level beast tamers. Chapter for 55, Dragon Mother Giving Treasures, 2. Chapter for 55, Dragon Mother Giving Treasures, 2. In recent years, Donghuang's breakthrough in the feeding field was not small. Excuse me, which feeding master developed this result? Is he here? I wonder if he has studied our Minghua's black velvet worm. The black velvet worm was actually similar to the green silkworm. It was Minghua's unique pet. Between the two of them, there was a small robot flying with the translation system. It was in charge of synchronizing the mental perception translation. He didn't arrive. but you should be more unfamiliar with him. Before this, he was only a new student in a university. He was only 19 years old and not a famous feeder. He was very young, so he shouldn't have studied the black velvet worm, Dr. Sua said with a smile. As soon as she finished speaking, the Minghua feeder opposite her was even more shocked. What? 19 years old? He can have such results at the age of 19. Is he a genius? The Minghua feeder was shocked. Beside them stood a girl in a white dress. When the girl and President Xia, who were not far away, heard the black-skinned auntie's shocked voice, they muttered in their hearts. If they knew that this guy who developed the green silkworm cocoon was an archaeologist, that the feeding results were just casually produced, and that he had even evolved a spatial overlord race butterfly through this method, wouldn't their jaws drop? Sorry, I have to take this call. At this moment, President Xia, who was communicating with Legend Minghua, suddenly apologized. It's all right. Legend Katavi smiled, indicating that it was fine. After President Xia picked up the phone, he was clearly stunned. He never expected that just as his wife finished bragging about Shiyu, this guy would call him. Shiyu? Why was he calling him? The two of them actually didn't have much interaction. Hello, President Xia. I'm Shiyu. Shiyu, what's the matter? President Xia found it strange. I heard that the exchange team of the ancient kingdom of Minghua has arrived in Demon Capital. There's still an exchange battle event held in the Demon Capital Arena tomorrow. Isn't that so? Well, I'm also in Demon Capital now. Is it too late to register for the exchange battle event now? Ah, this! President Xia was stunned. So that was the reason. However, Shiyu had just finished the National League. How long had it been? Why did he suddenly target the beast tamer of the ancient kingdom of Minghua? In fact, in President Xia's eyes, Shiyu wasn't someone who liked to fight. If he loved to fight, why didn't he register for the battle department instead of the archaeology department? If he loved to fight, why had he not challenged anyone from the sequence ranking? Although Shiyu was indeed very strong, President Xia was still slightly stunned when Shiyu suddenly came to ask him about this. It's not late, but are you sure you want to come? If he remembered correctly, Shiyu was still a level 5 beast tamer. Although he and Jiao Xian were freaks at the top of the sequence, and their strength was not necessarily inferior to top-notch masters, the 5 contestants of the ancient kingdom of Minghua were not simple. Their strength could definitely be ranked in the top 10 of the younger generation under the age of 30 in the ancient kingdom of Minghua. Among the 5 reserve contestants of the world tournament that Minghua had come to Donghuang for this battle exchange, there were 2 top-notch masters at the quasi-legendary level and 3 ordinary top-notch masters. Clearly, they were core contestants of Minghua. Although it was called a reserve now, if nothing unexpected happened, it would basically represent Minghua in the world competition. He wasn't surprised that Heavenly King Zhu and the other top-notch masters of the sequence would fight, but was Shiyu really going to come? Although Shiyu could kill indiscriminately in the National League, the individual competition contestants of the National League were only university students in their early 20s after all. These students were only the weakest batch in the master-level domain. Just because Shiyu and Jiao Xian could kill these student masters indiscriminately didn't mean that they could defeat the real-world competition contestants whose strength was enough to rank in the top 10 of ancient Minghua. These people had cultivated for at least 5 years more than them. Yes, I'm just going to broaden my horizons. All right, President Xia pondered for a moment and said, by the way, do you have a place to stay in Demon Capital? There are banquets here from now to night. Do you want to come over? Why don't I get Qingwei to pick you up? It's all right, there's no need. No need to be polite. Qingwei, in the hall, President Xia called Xia Qingwei, who was quietly drinking milk tea at the side and was not interested in communicating with the young people of the ancient kingdom of Minghua, and said, come here for a while, you go and fetch someone. Who? Xia Qingwei raised her head and looked at her father with a puzzled expression. Pick up a person? Who is it? Xia Qingwei was unwilling. It was finally the holidays. It was fine if she couldn't rest and was pulled to participate in the banquet, but why was there a mission? Shi Yu. Xia Qingwei was stunned, then said, "Oh. Okay." President Xia quickly explained to Xia Qingwei. Then, he smiled at Legend Katavi opposite him and said, "It's a beast tamer who suddenly wants to participate in the battle exchange tomorrow." Oh. Legend Katavi smiled. He was very curious about the strength of this batch of Dong Huang's younger generation. Although this was a rare national exchange opportunity, and the most important thing was economic trade, because the world tournament was imminent, this battle exchange was also very valued by the ancient kingdom of Minghua. Apart from testing the strength of the contestants in the world competition, it could also let the contestants go to various places to see different pets. This was more conducive to their survival in the world competition. After all, the pet races in various regions were still very different. Chapter 56, Dragon Mother Giving Treasures, 3. Chapter 56, Dragon Mother Giving Treasures, 3. Of course, there would also be some prizes around the exchange event, such as deciding who had the initiative in the business exchange event, or deciding how many special cultivation mystic realms Dong Huang would open for them to use and train. This year, with the momentum of the World Tournament, it would be a frequent period of exchange between the Seven-Nation Alliance. If nothing went wrong, at that time, Dong Huang would also establish an exchange team and go to the other 6 countries to communicate. At that time, the battle exchange would be an extremely important project. After Shi Yu hung up, he looked at the blue sky and white clouds. He had just finished eating. What was the point of going to the banquet after eating? However, it was fine to go over and take a look. Perhaps there was a chance to directly replicate some rare skills at the banquet. Just as Shi Yu hung up, another call came. Shi Yu subconsciously thought that it was Xia Qingwei, but when he focused, he realized that it was General Xiao Qin, who was far in the sea area beside the ice-fire snow mountain. Shi Yu picked up the phone. "Minister Shi Yu, the people from Dragon Palace City, the sea beasts, came to visit our Environmental Protection Department base." General Xiao Qin's voice came from the other side. "They said that they're subordinates of Lord Ice Dragon and came to invite you and the Gem Cat to go to Dragon Palace City to play. They said that it entered the Dragon God ruins and successfully obtained a pile of treasures inside. They can give you and the Gem Cat 2 useless things. They also want to hold a banquet and eat roasted octopus tentacles together. It can't be the Vortex Totem, right?" General Xiao Qin felt extremely hungry. "Shi Yu? This?" When Shi Yu heard the content, he was immediately stunned. Ice Dragon had finally entered the Dragon God ruins. From the looks of it, it had gained a lot. The Dragon God ruins was indeed filled with treasures. There were legendary and mythical resources. The Kirin fossil was something from the Dragon God ruins. It was said that when the Totem Dragon King first entered the Dragon God ruins, it had never returned empty-handed. In the worst cases, anyone who went in had at least brought out 1 or 2 legendary resources. Unfortunately, only totem-level dragons could enter this ruin. Shi Yu wiped his saliva. What a mom! She had good things and still knew to think about them. However, only a few useless resources were given. What the hell? It was probably just being polite. In fact, maybe it had already prepared several legendary resources, waiting to give them a surprise. He remembered that before they separated, after he let Ice Dragon enter the ruins, he paid attention to whether there were any resources that could strengthen Buggy. Did this mean that Buggy's legendary resources were also in place? Buggy was half a child of the Ice Dragon after all. It couldn't be mistreated, right? 1 Dragon Element legendary resource, and 3 or 4 Dragon Element level 8 resources. With Buggy's equipment, its battle power could probably increase. The Insect Swarm, Dragon Group, strategy could also be gradually perfected around the equipment. Shi Yu looked up at the sky. He had 11's legendary resources, Kai Tong's legendary resources, but he still lacked Buggy, Baby Ginseng, Susu, and Ling's. Susu, though, he didn't have to worry about. When the time came, he would just have to apply to the Environmental Protection Department. Dragon Palace City and Dong Huang would probably be willing to give it to it. As for Ling, he could see if there was a chance to pass the mechanical conference. As for buggies, it might also be in place this time. From the looks of it, it wasn't impossible to collect 6 legendary resources and prepare one for every pet to break through to the Overlord level with a perfect foundation. Thank you, Mother Dragon. Shiyu was excited. He immediately prepared to tell this good news to Ice Dragon's good friend, the Gem Cat. Let's go to Dragon Palace City to eat roasted octopus tentacles. This was totem meat. Even if it was just the most ordinary tentacle, it had to be comparable to a level 7 resource. It was very nutritious. It was the new year. The elders had sent New Year's red packet money. Chapter for 57, Still Killing Indiscriminately, 1. Chapter for 57, Still Killing Indiscriminately, 1. I'm hanging up. After receiving the news from Xiao Qin, Shiyu informed the Gem Cat that Demon Capital was looking for him to play. The Gem Cat definitely didn't want to miss such a good thing. Cultivation my ass. The most important thing was to freeload. The Gem Cat had been eyeing the Vortex Demon Beast's octopus tentacles for a long time. What? As expected, at Ancient Capital University, the Gem Cat's eyes immediately lit up when it received Shiyu's call. Without another word, it threw a clone to work and its main body started to teleport. Sensing the commotion over there, Shiyu hung up with a sigh. But this way, I have to replicate the skills as soon as possible. Shiyu looked into the distance. He couldn't waste too much time in Demon Capital. Otherwise, it would be bad if Mother Dragon changed her mind and didn't want to give him legendary resources. He stretched and walked leisurely in the direction of Pearl Square. Soon, Shiyu saw Xia Qingwei, who had also rushed over to find him. It was obvious that the other party had just come out of the banquet. She was wearing a purple petal see-through dress. The purple petals on both sides of her shoulders made her look very young, although she wasn't very old herself. Xia Qingwei saw Shiyu from afar and stopped. Little Xia, Shiyu immediately said when he saw her. Xia Qingwei pursed her lips. At this moment, she was still brooding over the fact that Shiyu's pet used its clone to eliminate her in the National League. To be precise, from the moment the limelight of the butterfly meeting was snatched away to the moment her pet was insta-killed by Shiyu with deterrence in Legend Hua's courtyard, then to the moment where she became Shiyu's research assistant, she had never stood up to Shiyu. No matter what, she was still the daughter of a legendary beast tamer and a famous doctorate. How could a strange guy like Shiyu be born in this world? I heard you're participating in the battle exchange with the Minghua beast tamer tomorrow. She wanted to know what Shiyu was up to now. Well, have you seen those beast tamers? Shiyu asked. Xia Qingwei nodded and said, I took a few looks from afar and they gave off a very strong feeling. Shiyu smiled. Where are their pets? Didn't see them. Xia Qingwei shook her head. Woo. Shiyu fell into deep thought. Didn't the other party show their pets at the banquet? Then why would he go to the banquet? Why, you don't want to go to the banquet anymore? Xia Qingwei seemed to have seen through Shiyu's thoughts. Therefore, Shiyu wanted to come because he was curious about Minghua's pets. Ah. Anything is fine, Shiyu said. He was free anyway. Up to you. Xia Qingwei shrugged and said, however, it's indeed a little boring over there. Today, the exchange activity had actually not completely started. It was just the relevant people from various fields meeting and getting to know each other. For a real exchange activity, there would definitely be special venues in various fields. For example, the battle exchange would be held in the Demon Capital Arena tomorrow. Actually, if you're more curious about the Minghua pets, I can take you to the Research Institute to take a look. Dong Huang took advantage of this exchange to introduce another batch of Minghua native pets. A batch of bug-type creatures has gathered at the Research Institute. There should be 6 to 7 races. Let's go to the Research Institute then. Shiyu's eyes lit up. Let's see if we can replicate another skill for Buggy. All right. Xia Qingwei said. The Research Institute was ultimately more fun than a banquet. Half an hour later, in the banquet hall, President Xia was rather confused. Why hadn't his daughter brought him over after half an hour? Where was he? Stop looking. Dr. Zhuo walked over and said, "My daughter sent me a message. She said to bring Shiyu to the Research Institute to take a look." President Xie was stunned. No wonder this girl agreed so readily. So she didn't plan to come back. Then, when the banquet is almost over, shouldn't we hurry over and greet Shiyu? Speaking of which, he could be promoted to the president of the Demon Capital Association this time because of his wife. After all, Dr. Zhuo was currently in charge of the National Research Project, the Green Silkworm Cocoon Project. And for Dr. Zhuo to be able to take on this project, the most important thing was actually the nod of the big boss of the Third Bureau, Shiyu. Sure. Dr. Zhuo felt that it was all right. The Demon Capital Worm Department Research Institute. This was Dr. Zhuo's research place, and also Xie Qingwei's research place. As a research student of Demon Capital University, she was going to take over her mother's work in the future. Compared to battle, she was more proficient in feeding. The Worm Department Research Institute was established in a natural mountain area. It was a huge natural garden. The forest path that arrived here led to the door. The monarch-level sun moth was in charge of guarding the nest in the sky. 6 pairs of orange wings surrounded it. The sun moth that had a graceful white belly saw that it was someone familiar, so it turned a blind eye and let it pass. Shiyu originally came with anticipation, wondering if he could replicate another rare skill for Buggy that was difficult to find in Donghuang. However, the outcome made him very helpless. He realized that there was nothing worth replicating. "Are you interested or not?" Xie Qingwei, who was trying hard to introduce the black velvet worm, the shell worm, and the other special pets of the Minghua, had a strange expression. Why was this man so fickle? He was excited when he came just now, but why was he unhappy again after seeing the worm? She looked at the black furry worm in the cage. Wasn't this cute? I was interested just now, but I'm not interested now. Shiyu looked at the black velvet worm covered in trash skills and said. Chapter for 58, Still Killing Indiscriminately, 2. Chapter for 58, Still Killing Indiscriminately, 2. Seeing this, Xie Qingwei covered her forehead and couldn't be bothered to introduce it anymore. Then I won't go back to the banquet, she said. After returning to the research institute, she found an opportunity to change the uncomfortable dress into a school uniform. She felt much more comfortable now. It was too troublesome to change back. Whatever. However, don't go yet. My parents just sent a message saying that they want to treat you to dinner. Who? Shiyu sighed. Eating again? In the past half a month, apart from adding points, he had only eaten. In the evening, Dr. Zhuo left the banquet before President Xie, afraid that her daughter wouldn't receive Shiyu well. The last time Shiyu came to Demon Capital to participate in the National League, the time was tight. Shiyu also left in a hurry and they didn't have time to entertain Shiyu properly. This time, she had to personally cook to entertain Shiyu no matter what. She wanted to be a good host. At night, Shiyu regretted it a little. He understood that the world was a dangerous place. At President Xie's house, Shiyu looked at the fried bamboo worm on the table. Fried golden cicada, egg-steamed sea worm, scorpion soup. He felt a little dizzy. Damn it, how could you bug-type researchers eat bugs? This was no different from a dog lover eating dog meat. In his previous life, he had never been so extravagant even when exploring deep in the mountains. Don't worry about it, just treat it as your own home, doctors were said with a smile. Xie Qingwei, Shiyu, I'll add you to the exchange event tomorrow. President Xie and Xie Qingwei looked very normal. All right, thank you. After a moment of silence, Shiyu changed the topic. By the way, I wonder what the rules of the exchange competition are. Shiyu had asked in advance to avoid missing the replication opportunity tomorrow because he didn't understand the rules. The rules are very simple. Usually, this kind of exchange activity is solo. Group battles consume too much energy for beast tamers, especially for beast tamers who want to strengthen the strengthening talent of multiple pets in one go. It's very easy for accidents to happen in battle. Therefore, tomorrow's exchange between Dong Huang and Ming Hua will be a 3 vs 3 solo. Generally speaking, beast tamers at this level rarely have any bias. Those who are good in team battles are also good in solo battles. President Xia smiled. Also, this exchange activity will actually also reposition the ranking according to the performance of the contestants Dong Huang represents. If you want to charge at the ranking of the sequence battle, you can indeed perform well this time. Director Xiong of the Sequence Battle Committee will still go as a guest this time. I see. Shi Yu nodded. However, this way, it was best for him to go on stage as soon as possible tomorrow. Otherwise, if the Golden Phoenix Dragon Sparrow was killed by other beast tamers of Dong Huang in advance, he wouldn't have a chance to fight. It would be pretty sad, and he didn't want to find another way. It was best to completely achieve his goal tomorrow. After that, he would directly go to Dragon Palace City to avoid wasting time. Moreover, he had to leave Kai Tong to that Golden Phoenix Dragon Sparrow. After all, the condition for replicating a skill was to see the other party use the skill and touch it within 30 minutes. In the 1 vs 1 solo situation, regardless of whether Shi Yu sent 11, Buggy, Baby Ginseng, or Susu, it was not easy for him to naturally touch the Golden Phoenix Dragon Sparrow. On the other hand, if he sent Kai Tong to fight the Golden Phoenix Dragon Sparrow, he could become the main force of the battle after Kai Tong possessed him. This way, it would be easier to touch the enemy. These beast tamers from the ancient kingdom of Ming Hua are very strong. They should be the best of the younger generation in their country. They're different from the beast tamers you encountered previously. Let old Xia tell you their basic information later. You can also watch the battles of the others tomorrow, doctors were said. For example, Heavenly King Zhu and the others from the Dark Club will also be at the scene tomorrow. In the eyes of Dr. Wei and the others, Shi Yu was still a little young. Although he had started an exciting competition with Jiao Xian in the National League, Jiao Xian was only a level 5 beast tamer after all. Moreover, he had a non-combat type strengthening talent. However, this group of people was completely different. They all had combat type talent, were older, had stronger pets, and had higher levels. Aunt Wei, don't worry. All right, eat quickly. The bugs are getting cold. Shi Yu? Shi Yu sighed and picked up the fried cicadas that he could accept. He didn't know the taste of other things, but this should be edible. In the building where the Ming Hua exchange team lived. At night, in a conference room. Legend Katavi, who was in charge of tomorrow's exchange, looked at the 3 men and 2 women below and also prepared information about tomorrow's exchange for them. Tomorrow, you will represent the ancient kingdom of Ming Hua to carry out the first exchange battle with the 7 contestants of Dong Huang. Although you have fewer people and they have more people, the more pets you can defeat, the richer the resources you can obtain from your country and Dong Huang. Therefore, everyone, be prepared to take turns fighting. We will prepare sufficient supplements. In order to choose the contestants of the World Tournament, Dong Huang specially launched a ranking competition called the Sequence Battle. To a certain extent, the ranking of this competition represents the strength of their contestants. The 7 beast tamers who will fight you this time are respectively ranked 6th, 10th, 13th, 15th, 19th, 20th, and 22nd in the Sequence Battle. Although their rankings are generally not high, the overall strength of Dong Huang is a little stronger than ours. For example, the top 4 of their Sequence Battle are all legendary beast tamers, while we only have 1 legend under the age of 30. Moreover, we don't have any peers this time, so you all should probably understand the value of this ranking. Chapter for 59, Still Killing Indiscriminately, 3. Chapter for 59, Still Killing Indiscriminately, 3. Below, the expressions of the contestants from the ancient kingdom of Ming Hua were solemn. Although they were both ancient countries, the difference in strength between the 2 parties was indeed huge. They wouldn't be sloppy. Next, I'll give you a simple introduction of their basic information. Time is tight, and there's only basic information. Of course, they only have your basic information as well, said Legend Katavi. In such an international exchange, the basic information of their group of envoys had to be given to Dong Huang. It was inevitable. Sequence number 6, Zheng Hai. Age 29, beast taming level 7. His trump card is a monarch-level giant leviathan of an overlord race. He's a quasi-legendary beast tamer. He's a disciple of the tyrannical sea legend of Dong Huang. He's very strong. His beast-taming talent is water element strengthening. He has the battle record of defeating an ocean overlord. Sequence 10, Zhu Yun, age 27, beast tamer level 6, dark element strengthening talent, top-notch master. He has a battle record of tying with an overlord. The 5 Minghua contestants had natural expressions. Fortunately, they were quasi-legendary beast tamers. This time, Dong Huang only sent 1 person, and they had 2. It was unknown if Dong Huang looked down on them or if they deliberately pulled their punches a bit and planned to prioritize friendship first and competition second. Everyone continued to listen. Soon, they introduced the last person. Sequence 22, Shi Yu, age 19, beast tamer level 5, telepathy talent, top-notch master. What? At this point, a woman in a white sari below was slightly stunned. Teacher, what did you say? 19 years old, level 5 beast tamer, top-notch master? It's 19, not 29? It's level 5, not level 6? And it's a telepathy talent? The few people introduced in front were all right. As Legend Katavi introduced Shi Yu's information, the 5 young people from Minghua were stunned. They could barely accept a 19-year-old with a level 5 beast taming space. After all, this person could rely on using resources. However, was the title of top-notch master serious? Coupled with the age and talent in front, it was very unbelievable. Telepathy, this talent could also be used to fight an overlord 2 levels higher? What a joke! It had to be fake. The title was fake, right? It was more like an ordinary master. The ranking was also high. That's right. However, this beast tamer's name was added at the last minute. There's relatively little other information. Katavi looked at the 5 young men and said, however, I've asked around. He's very famous in Dong Huang. He just won the individual championship of the National University competition. Although he's young, doesn't have a battle-type talent, and doesn't have the battle record of fighting overlord-level creatures, he's suspected to have contracted 5 overlord-level pets alone. Now, do you still have any questions? As soon as Legend Katavi finished speaking, the few people opposite him immediately opened their mouths wide in shock. What was it? 5 overlord species pets? How is this possible? They looked at each other. Was this guy the descendant of a legendary beast tamer? Even as a group of super elites of the Minghua, each of them only had 1 or 2 pets of overlord races. 5 overlord races, this was something humans did? When did overlord species pets become so common? I was also very surprised when I learned, but that's the reality. Legend Katavi sighed. Although it's a telepathy talent, it's not strange to reach this ranking with the race of his pets, Legend Katavi said. However, the focus you should pay attention to this time is not him, but the other beast tamers ranked higher. Although this Shi Yu has the strongest potential among the few of them, his current strength is definitely still inferior to the others. Just pay attention and don't let your guard down. Kiro, Karen, Plash, Amir, Ayasha, do you hear me? She looked at the 5 young people. Yes. The few of them nodded and thought to themselves that it was scary. Dong Huang was really filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Fortunately, this Shi Yu was only 19 years old and only had a telepathy talent. Otherwise, this lineup of 5 overlord pets was crossing the line. The next day, hundreds of people were gathered in the demon capital arena. This exchange activity was only publicized to the public, but the process was not publicized. This was the request of the ancient kingdom of Minghua. After all, if everyone knew the abilities and tactics of their contestants, they would be very passive in a place like the world competition. Although the chances of having a totem country undercover in Dong Huang were not high, it was better to be careful. the ancient kingdom of Minghua was being extremely careful. Therefore, there weren't many spectators this time. On the ancient kingdom of Minghua's side, only 2 legendary beast tamers, Katavi and Fadia, and more than 10 members of the exchange team were present. As for the others in the Minghua exchange team, they went to start exchanges in different domains. Among them, the titled legend Nether King headed to the capital not long after arriving at Donghuang to discuss the world competition with the president of the Donghuang Association. As for Donghuang, the representatives of the legendary beast tamers were also 2 people. They were the local legends, President Xia, and Director Shong of the Sequence Competition Committee. They had almost the same guest lineup as in the National League. Apart from them, there were hundreds of Donghuang spectators present, including Dr. Zui, Xia Qingwei, and the others, as well as the support of the various contestants. After all, it was home ground, so there were more spectators. It's about time. On the platform, Director Shong smiled and looked at the 2 legends of Minghua. Then, both parties looked at the contestants in their respective seats. Chapter for 60, Still Killing Indiscriminately, 4. Chapter for 60, Still Killing Indiscriminately, 4. On Donghuang's side, Shiyu was chatting with the 2 familiar faces, Old Jing and Old Zhu. As for the other 2 men and 2 women, he really didn't know them. However, the 4 of them were quite interested in Shiyu. They kept feeling that Shiyu, who was ranked 22nd in the sequence, would soon target them for a challenge. Why are you here too? Heavenly King Zhu's face darkened. He didn't like Shiyu very much. He kept feeling that Shiyu would snatch the trending topic of Zhu Qianwang crushed 5 Minghua geniuses alone today. No, he couldn't let Shiyu succeed. Others thought that Shiyu was too young, but in this kind of trending topic, he felt that Shiyu was clearly a sly old fox. Brother Shiyu, long time no see. The sect master of the Binhai Training Hall, Zheng Hai, had a very thick smile. At this moment, he had already learned about the Marine Environmental Protection Department from his master. Good Lord, when would Shiyu give him a chance to get involved? Their Binhai Training Hall could also be an environmental protection venue. How about a basket of thyme fruits? Long time no see. I've come to broaden my horizons, Shiyu said with a smile. At the same time, on the platform, Director Zhong spoke. He rambled on about the rules. Minghua 5 vs Donghuang 7. The rule was a 3 vs 3 solo arena. It looked like Minghua was at a disadvantage in terms of numbers, but at this level, Minghua's beast tamers basically contracted 6 to 7 pets each. In a solo environment, it was completely no problem for one person to fight twice. Moreover, Minghua and Donghuang had already agreed on the parameters. The more pets contestants from Minghua could defeat, the more benefits they could obtain from coming to Donghuang this time. Under such circumstances, contestant Minghua naturally didn't care about the number of opponents, and Donghuang didn't have to spend any effort to control the number of contestants who wanted to communicate and fight. The visitors are the guests, so let's send out the contestants first, Director Shong said with a smile to the 2 legendary beast tamers, Katavi and Fade. I'm looking forward to the performance of the geniuses of Donghuang. Katavi and Legend Fade also smiled. To be honest, in the past few years, they had developed quickly, and their strength was already completely different from 20 years ago. They were also very curious about how far the geniuses of their country could collide with the Donghuang geniuses. Who's going to do it? As Director Shong's gaze shot over, the 7 sequence contestants who had come to face the Minghua exchange looked at each other. Before this, there was no fixed order of battle. It was just an exchange battle with the ancient kingdom of Minghua. Donghuang didn't even deliberately mobilize the beast tamers ranked at the top. They just let the beast tamers casually register themselves and didn't take it too seriously. Then everyone looked at each other. Heavenly King Zhu had no intention of discussing with everyone present. He directly wanted to stand up and be the first to fight. He wanted to fight 1 vs 5 to crush all the other party's members and become a trending topic. However, before Heavenly King Zhu could finish speaking, a figure beside him disappeared from his seat, leaving behind a lingering voice that stunned Heavenly King Zhu. I'm ranked the lowest. I'll go test the waters for everyone first. The disappearing figure was Shi Yu. Heavenly King Zhu looked at the afterimage and was stunned. This kid actually used instant transmission to snatch the first battle spot. F*CK. F*CK? Heavenly King Zhu widened his eyes and looked at the figure that appeared in the arena. This kid, is he human? Why was he in such a hurry to reincarnate? The other four also looked at each other. Why was this Shi Yu so impatient? It seemed like it was true. In the start of the National League, this guy couldn't wait to gather all the contestants and monsters on the island to destroy them in one go. He was very efficient. But now, what was it for? The few of them had serious expressions as they looked at the Minghua contestant area. These 5 people were not easy to deal with. Apart from Xinghai and Zhu Yun, the other 4 Dong Huang contestants didn't think they could win steadily. Below, Shi Yu's figure instantly appeared. He was wearing a dark red interweaving fire demon coat that looked like a trench coat. His figure flashed and appeared on the arena. Moreover, he slowly walked forward step by step, and his figure instantly attracted everyone's attention. Seeing Shi Yu teleport down, President Xia and Director Zhong were also stunned. Was this kid in a hurry to reincarnate? Dong Huang's Shi Yu, pleased to meet you. Shi Yu didn't bring any translation machine because he had the gift of telepathy. He directly activated the group telepathy skill of the voice-heart transformation and spoke from below. As Shi Yu appeared, the 5 contestants from the ancient kingdom of Minghua were also stunned. It was that kid who contracted 5 overlord species pets. At this moment, as he quickly descended, Shi Yu knew that he had no choice. After all, if he let others appear first, such as Heavenly King Zhu, who happened to eliminate the Golden Phoenix Dragon Sparrow, things would be over today. It was better for him to appear directly. As long as he continued fighting, he would be able to see that lady's trump card pet sooner or later. Our side. Then, contestant Shi Yu. At this moment, seeing that Shi Yu was the first to appear on the platform, Director Zhong felt helpless, but he smiled and said. Apart from Jiao Xian, the other contestants in the National League were too weak, causing him to not be able to see the full strength of Shi Yu's pet clearly. It was good to take this opportunity to see it. Who's going? Contestant Minghua also fell into a dilemma. The other party is the lowest ranking, the weakest. Looks like he plans to go from weak to strong. Of course, our side should also send the weakest. Don't you think so, Karen? The beautiful woman named Amy Rui looked at one of the tightly wrapped ones and smiled.